Okay. Winds up, it's freezing, autumnal, wintry even. But it's still not bad. What a place to be, Seve, right?
Absolutely.
So, we're live on location, big guy. It's been a while.
It has.
April last year since the last time we did this.
Long time.
Apologies, but we're here now. I have to say that for Seve and I, particularly Seve, I think, this is a bit of a bucket lister. The reason that we've been a wee bit coy about coming live from this location this time around is because people like to guess. They like to have a bit of fun trying to work out where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing and things like that. And I think a lot of people are going to be genuinely surprised that we're coming to you live from this particular spot. I think if I was to look at all the distilleries in Scotland and make a wee ring-fenced list of a mere handful of places to broadcast live from, I think this would be up there.
For sure.
We've already been to a couple, right?
Yeah, some great ones as well. It's been really, really good.
But to be able to come up here and spend a bit of time and have a bit of a look under the hood is a real privilege.
Did you say ring fenced?
Yeah, I did say ring fenced. That was not intentional.
I like that.
And yet the clues are coming, right? And now here's another clue in the background as well. Maybe people will start to hear a wee chattering bird.
Oh, always love a chattering bird.
Let's do the reveal, Sev.
Right, here we go.
Tonight, on the 11th of December 2025, we're coming to you live from Edradour. Get in!
Absolutely gone.
Not bad, Seve, eh?
Yeah. To be honest, this is a pilgrimage, especially for me. I am excited.
Me too. Looking forward to it. Are you excited, Sev? We'll see you in a second. Hello, whisky folk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday night. Welcome to the vPub. Welcome to Edradour Distillery. It's wonderful to welcome you on another Thursday, and I know it's been a long time since we've done an on-location vPub. That's down to me. It's down to my mood and preferences and things like that. I think the last time was Dornoch last year. I was invited to do something like this way back in spring, and we talked about it again in summertime. And when it got to late in the year, I realised I had to move. And the reason I had to move is because this is 200 years of this wee distillery up here in the Southern Highlands. I just want to make sure that this mic is working, so I'm hitting it too. We've had some audio problems. We always have technical problems when we're live. Hopefully you can let me know if you can hear me nice and clearly. But I had to do it this year, obviously, because I had to make sure that we celebrated and marked not just the fact that the Southern Highland Distillery, once Scotland's smallest distillery, is not only 200 years old, but the fact actually, and it's a personal opinion, and we'll talk about it tonight with our host. I'm very, very grateful and often surprised, delighted even, that it's still here. And it needed a few characters along the way in order to preserve its survival. It really did. It needed some guardianship. It needed some tender, loving care. And sometimes over the years, it actually needed downright rescuing. But it's here today in 2025, celebrating 200 years. And I have to tell you, it is absolutely thriving. It's fantastic to witness. One of the difficulties that we have these days, however, is that since the pandemic, there has been no visitor centre at Edradour, and there has been no news or plans or anything to put that visitor centre back into place again. And there's real, genuine reasons for that. Again, we're going to talk about that a wee bit later tonight. And we're going to talk about it with I think you can all imagine who the host is going to be, and I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted and even privileged to be able to sit with him a wee bit later. But we'll get our hosts on, we'll get our team on. They're chuckling in the background. I hope that means that the audio and everything's working okay. Is everybody? I think if there was audio issues, the chat would be full of people telling me that there are audio issues, but it looks like we're okay. So we're in the Southern Highlands today, and we're at a distillery, quite a special distillery, a small distillery, despite the fact that it is increased in size immeasurably, and I'm going to show you evidence of that in a little while. It's still quite a humble little place to be. It's one of the most idyllic, one of the most beautiful scenes to see. It's almost amazing that they can make so much whiskey in such a little kind of whitewashed cottage countryside scene. But make whiskey they do. And they've done it very successfully because over the years, they have not only expanded their production, but they have built additional capacity in the shape of a completely new, like-for-like, absolutely identical distillery called Edradour 2. I want to talk about that as well. It's fascinating to get a wee look behind the curtains. It's fascinating to see under the hood. But I think it's more than anything a privilege for me to be here tonight, of course, but for all of us to be able to sip an old school style Scotch single malt whiskey that, given a few different takes or a few different forks in the road, might not have been here. It's a fascinating story. Anyway, before we get into all of that, before we relax with our host and have a wee kind of ask me anything session, whatever you want to ask tonight, and it's difficult when I'm on with a guest, of course it is, but I'll do my very best to pick up questions and try and interact with you all as much as I possibly can tonight. I think there will be inevitable questions. We've got some people in the background. Obviously, my roadie, Seve, is with me tonight, helping me, as you saw in the intro there. So he'll be able to pick up some questions as well. I don't know what Seve's signed in as, the alchemist, potentially. Yes, he's signed in as the alchemist. So if you're trying to get his attention, type at the alchemist. If you're trying to get my attention, type at Aquavitae, and I'll do my best to keep up with the orange highlights. Before we get into all of that, I want to welcome you all. I hope you're comfortable. I hope you've got something nice in the glass. I know that you were all guessing as to where we were, and I'll explain what that's all about in a second. But you're here, and I'm looking forward to spending Thursday night with you. Cheers, everyone. Welcome. Let's do what we always do. Let's jump into the chat and welcome some of you beautiful whiskey folk and dedicated barflies. I'll rewind a wee bit. Did anybody guess that we were at Edradour? I know that some of you did. Kelly, I know that Kelly guessed. A few others guessed as well this evening. Rick Johnson is in though. Arnie guessed as well. Okay, super Arnie. Which Arnie? Arnie Tiger or the Arnie Doodle the Drum? The knowledgeable Arnie. Our pal from Germany, Arnie, it looks like he guessed as well. Wonderful. Justin Wan is in celebrating being a member of the Barflies for 24 months tonight. He's saying, Edradour, one of those I still haven't tried. Well, Justin, the next time that you're in Scotland, let me help you change that. Rick Johnson is here from the Whisky Zone saying, good afternoon from San Francisco, Roy, Seve, and fellow Edradour loving Barflies. What a great vPub ahead. Rick Johnson, love the enthusiasm. I feel the same as you, buddy. Fair Night Walker is saying, good evening, Roy. I'm so glad we can make it for tonight's vPub. I'll miss you all last week. That's the thing for Night Walker. You don't need to be here every week. You can always pick up on the replay, and I appreciate everyone that's joining live tonight and those of you who do pick it up on the replay. It means a lot. Good evening, Roy from Harrow. Whiskey Weekend Dram. Good to see you, buddy. Bowman 1999 saying, hello, Barflies. Hope you have something good in your glass. I have, I think, a wee 10-year-old blend. I think that's what Seve put in the glass for me tonight. It's a very, very interesting blend that we might get a chance to share with you a wee bit later. It's brand new just to market. Billy Bennett is here. Good to see you. Audio is good. Thank you, Billy. Fraser made us say, all good. Fantastic, Gordon. Appreciate you being in, buddy. Paul Eberson is saying, clearly, fantastic. Klitz is saying, hearing you just fine. Good, good, good. All loud and clear. All sound vision fine. Thank you all for chiming in to see it that you can hear us. Martin is saying, nice choice, Roy. Thank you, Martin. I agree with you, fella. Falscraft is saying, hearing you nice and clear, if not the usual voice colour. That's right, a wee bit. I do have the backup mic up here just out of the way, but in a room, a big room like this, a wee bit echoey, so we're going for the closer up stuff. I hope it's going to work out tonight. Gene Kelly is saying, Roy, we're living vicariously tonight. This is an under-the-radar distillery and one of my favourites. Jean, that's fantastic. I wonder if it's easy for you to get it stateside. I know that Edradour and Ballachan is distributed over there. I wonder if you can get your hands on it. Glad you're enjoying it. Gary Field is saying, should have opened my Edradour rather than Nickel Kerrin. Gary, can't it be both? You're here for the night, aren't you, buddy? Good to have you in, Gary. It was nice to have you in Glasgow this year as well. Justin Wan is saying you should have told us so I could get a bottle to sip along tonight. Sorry, Justin. The reason is, I'm going to admit, I'm just going to be very candid about this. It's for two reasons. And one, that in the past, you guys have had a lot of fun trying to guess which distillery we're going to come from, and also potentially what kind of place that we're going to be in, whether we're in a visitor centre like tonight, or whether we're in a bar like tonight, or whether we're in, remember, Tomatin was in the mash tun, Ardnamurchan was in the still room, Springbank was in the washback bar, all of these things. You like to kind of guess and play along. But here's another thing. If I was to say to you, I'm going to come live from Dalyun Distillery, some people are going to say, oh, one of my favourites, and make sure to tune in. And other people say, oh, I've never really tried Dalyun. I'm here. I'm always at the places that I want to go to. I always try to go to the places that I am interested in, that I can be passionate about, and that's kind of what I want to get across to you guys. So there's a lot of people already in tonight that's never had an Edradour, maybe even can't quite get an Edradour yet, depending on where you are. But there's still a story to tell here, and it's a good story. So sorry I didn't tell you, Justin, but I hope it's worthwhile, buddy, and the next time you can be sipping along. Highland Hamish is saying, greetings from Inverness. Edradour Caledonia 12 is a very firm favourite as part of my Dram Caddy golfer's flight. Good for you, Hamish. You have good taste. You could probably help me with my golf as well. Kyle Taylor is here. I think he's still in the UK. So is Aquavite coming live from Edradour A or B. I am probably smack bang in between the two of them. Harrow's saying audio is good, but a bit off sync. We'll just have to work through it, buddy. We just have to work through it. You're not looking at us, though, as long as you can hear us. Doodle Drama is saying, I should be in bed curing my flu, but I'm so excited for you, Seve, and all of us watching. This is flipping wild. Thank you, Mr. Symington, for making this dream come true. Arnie, you're a superstar. It's wonderful to have you in. We were actually showing off your artwork for the virtual malt bottling with the team here at Edradour earlier today. Billy Abbott is in. Good to see you, Billy. How are you keeping, my friend? Nice to have you and nice and early. Anthony McGee is saying, oh, I do like a nice on-location vPub. How exciting. May pour an Edradour to celebrate. Please do. Just as the chat jumps all the way to the bottom, I'm so sorry. I'll scroll back up a wee bit. Glenn Duncan is saying, a special heart place for me. My great-grandfather worked there as a lad. Wanted to visit, but was not allowed. One day, I hope. Well, if you've got some ancestry here, I'm sure you could get a wee sneaky half-hour poke around the place one day in the future, Glenn, especially if you're travelling all the way from Tasmania to do so, buddy. So good to have you in early on a Friday morning, Glenn, you superstar. Hellswood is saying, nice to see you out and about. Thank you, Hells, and guarantee you're not going to be out and about tonight because the peninsula down here in Campbelltown is going to be getting thumped with that weather that's coming in. Stay cosy, stay warm, and stay hanging out with us. Harrow is saying Edradour 2 in the glass, Aquavite. I like it. Good for you, Harrow. Thank you for being on theme, even when you weren't sure what the theme was going to be. Bob Sander is saying, the Fairy Flag release is my all-time favourite dram from Edradour. Fantastic, Bob. Good for you. And Adrian H. Slanjavat is saying, interested to hear what the new distillery means for Ballachan production, if anything. So many comments coming in. I'm going to do my very, very best to keep up with you all. Gino in Canada is saying, even to you, Ryan, Seve, we hope you're doing well. We are, Gino. I hope you are too, buddy. I hope your trip around Europe was fantastic. And Don Pass Whisky Tim is saying, Edradour Natural Strength was my 2019 Whisky of the Year, Aquavite. Tim, a belter. I'm glad that you're enjoying it too. Pedro in Brazil is saying, evening barflies, Guardians, and Aquavite. Always good to have you, Pedro. I hope you're keeping well. So many of you in. We're breaking 300 already. I really want to go on with things and obviously get to the main event and talk about this fantastic wee distillery up here in Perthshire. I think the best thing I can do is give you we're just sitting here in the tasting room with everyone, surrounded by wonderful, wonderful whiskies in a really nice ensconced little space. But I have to admit that there's a bit of a kind of bittersweet edge to things because I could never travel up the A9 without making the wee detour up the single track roads to a wee shop that existed up here once upon a time. I used to love coming in, and it didn't matter how poor I was, I left with a bottle, a souvenir. There was always something to tempt me on the shelves. But the business here has changed over the years, and the dynamics around everything that exists here has changed over the years as well. And it's meant that a refocus has had to happen in order to include far more people in this business than has ever been able to be included through any visitor centre or dynamics that they had going in the past. And I think it's an important thing to talk about tonight. A lot of you are wondering why you can't come up and see this distillery, and I think that that is going to be nice to share. There are genuine reasons for it. I also want to give you a sense of the scale of this place, because it's tiny and impressive in the same sentence. And that's a weird thing to say, and here's why. If you were to arrive here, if you were to see pictures, just Google Edradour, and you're going to get that classic shot taken of the bridge over the stream, looking up the hill with the whitewashed cottages, the red doors and the stream and the grass, and maybe even some ducks cutting right through the middle of it. And then you realize what's behind the scenes, the warehousing, the bottling, the packaging, the distilling at 2 separate sites, and all the facilities that are here, spreading not just Edradour and Balachan across the globe, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other distillate too. It's fantastic to see. I think the best thing I can do is share a wee video, a wee really, really terribly shot, very poor quality, but hopefully fit for purpose video to give you some sense of the scale of the original Edradour distillery and what we're calling Edradour 2 distillery today. Let me share this with you all, and I'll see you in a second. So you might remember when we were live on location at Dornoch Distillery, I was able to stand in one spot and do a 360-degree tour of the distillery. Well, we're here at Edradour, and believe it or not, we can actually pretty much do the same thing here. If I show you down there, we've got the mash tun being cleaned out right now. Then afterwards, we've got the unique piece of kit that is the Morton's refrigerator. It's about the size of a snooker table, just a wee bit higher. Stand next to that, Seve, give us a sense of scale. And then we have fermentation tanks. And look at these gorgeous, fat, dumpy little stills. What size is the wash still, Andrew?
Wash still 3,000 litres.
Sorry?
3,000 litres.
3,000. And the spirit still?
Will be roughly half that, about 1,700.
So this is it, all in this building, right? Everything all in this building. So how do you expand that? Well, let's go and see. So I'm not really sure if these videos are going to do what I hope that they're going to do, these little clips I'm sharing with you here, but it's to give you a sense of scale. So you've just seen around the original Edradour distillery there. I'm now standing in Edradour 2, which is identical in every way except layout and obviously scope for future expansion. Let me take you through the same little tour I did a second ago. Here we have that mash tun. Not having to clean it out, luckily. I know that you'll probably not hear me as well, but that's our mash tun down there. And then we have obviously the Morton's refrigerator here too. And this is an exact replica of what used to be in place, but it's now made from, instead of copper, it's made from stainless steel. And then from here it goes into fermentation vessels. Here we have 4 washbacks with the ability to add more in the future. And of course, remember those gorgeous little dumpy stills that we saw? There's the stills across the way. The exact same setup, just bigger, with a lot more space, but 2 absolutely identical distilleries. There we go. Andrew, welcome to the vPub.
Good evening,
Nice
welcome.
to have you. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Anytime I've visited you up here, but in recent times it's been nicer to get a wee bit of time to talk to you and understand a wee bit more, not just about what you're saying, but me appreciating what your words actually mean and what's actually been achieved here, because I think it's more remarkable than some of us out there in the wider whiskyverse appreciate.
Sure.
Maybe I'll get a chance to get some of that out of you tonight. I've been struck by every time I've spoke to you, though, how humble and candid and open and honest and matter of fact and down to earth that you are. I think you are one of, let's say, I'd have to suggest one of the more seasoned. There's not much that you've not seen. How many years is it now, Andrew?
Well, next year will be 40, in fact.
40 years. So you've done your time.
Yes, in more ways than one.
Well, when I was speaking earlier, I talked about we imagine Andrew Symington that we know today. Right, this is who. But 40 years ago, you were in your 20s.
Yes.
In your early 20s. So what? I mean, I want to spend the time talking. It's certainly the first part of the session tonight, talking about Edradour. What drove you to start upon this journey when you were so young? Was it whiskey? Was it?
Well, I started working in a hotel in Edinburgh, Prestonfield House. I basically started washing dishes at weekends when I was 13 to get pocket money, to earn money. I used to work 10 hours on a Saturday and 10 hours on a Sunday at 25 pence an hour. So I went home on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock with a fiver, feeling the richest man in Edinburgh.
In fact, back when a fiver could do things.
A fiver could do a lot of things. And from there, I got interested in the bar. There was a Spanish guy there that used to teach me things about drinks and show me how to pour drinks, fancy things, make cocktails and do things.
We all need a coach.
Yeah, his name was Jose, in fact. He was a very good draft player, and he taught me to play drafts. He was a brilliant draft player. I only ever beat him twice in about 6 years. We played almost every night after the bar was closed at 10. And from there, he started to show me whiskey, and they had a lot of whiskies in the bar at that time. A lot of old things, like the one that always struck me was the old Glengarry bottle, the old dumpy Glengarry bottle.
Yes.
Things like that, and the old Glen-S 12-year-old bottles.
Glen-S.
All these things were there, and I didn't know what they were or anything else. But I started to try them because we used to have. It was the days before Diageo and all these little units like James McEwen and Company. They had Linkwood and some various whiskies.
Yeah.
They entertained as separate units under the Scottish Malt Distillers. But they all competed against each other. So many of them entertained at Prestonfield with importers or sort of customers. They often did their gala dinner or sort of last night.
Prestonfield was a hotel.
Prestonfield House Hotel in Edinburgh, yeah. And many of them would bring whiskies. A company called Donald Fisher had whiskies of the monks. If you ever remember that one.
No.
There's a 21-year-old and 25-year-old.
Not Whiskey of the Month, Whiskey of the Monks.
Whiskey of the Monks.
Wow. Okay, no, never heard of it.
Donald Fisher, again, it was an address in Leith. They were part of DCL at the time as well. So I got to taste all these things, and they brought along a lot of samples to show that the components that went into the blend. So I got to taste them, and they were often left behind, so I got to keep them even, which was great. So I started to dabble around and get involved in playing it. And wine was also my other passion. I was very into wine. I learned a lot of that about Prestonfield, and I went to Napier and did a HND in hotel catering tourism management. And and after that I kind of left, and I went back to Prestonfield. I worked for the Hilton Group in Munich for 9 months as part of my course, my practical sort of studies, and I didn't like working for a multinational company at all. So I went back to Prestonfield, and then just opportunities arose. I met people like Brian Ivory, who used to be at Edrington or Highland Distillers as it was at the time. Brian Morrison I knew from, and I convinced them, to bottle a couple of things for Prestonfield to sell. I convinced my boss, or the owner, to let us do this.
Exclusive things.
Exclusive things, to sell them to rich American tourists, rich tourists that stayed at Prestonfield, So we did a couple of things, the Bowmore 65 and Bowmore 66. We had a Springbank 67 in those days, which were, I think we retailed them at the time for about 80 quid a bottle in the bar at the hotel.
And probably that was considered super premium.
I can remember David Birrell, who was a director, and he only ever drank Glenmorangie, so he hated Islay whiskey and said, "This is a disaster, boy. We're never going to get rid of this stuff." And but it started to sell, and we went from strength to strength. But it did get to the stage where we invested in quite a lot of packaging and stuff or whatever, and it was really going, in a different direction to where they wanted to go. So I decided I would go alone, and that's where Signatory was born.
I'm going to stop you there. I think, with your permission, we're going to dedicate a bit of this evening to talk about Signatory Vintage.
Sure.
I think it's wonderful to have that snapshot of what led up to Signatory Vintage, washing dishes, hospitality, working out you don't want to work for a multinational, and working out that you might rather be your own boss and things like that.
Well, I've always wanted, I paddled my own canoe ever since. But I tend to stay under the radar, under the water. Don't get to, I don't feel the need to, go out and blast. I let the whiskey speak.
Certainly done a good job of that over the years.
That's the main thing. That's what's more important is the whiskey.
It's 200 years of Edradour this year.
Yes.
2025.
Yeah.
Since the first time that there was distilling on this wee spot in Perthshire, right?
Yeah.
But it's only 23 years
that I've been
since you stepped in.
Yeah.
I might have offended you a wee bit earlier this evening because I likened you to a character from Edradour's past who's a famous character for being a bit of a player, a bit of a shyster at times, but driven. And it was a guy called William Whiteley who saved Edradour in the past.
That's
right?
Correct.
He saved. He might have used quite interesting means in which to do so throughout Prohibition and various things. But one of the reasons that Edradour was brought back as a phoenix back then was through William Whiteley.
Correct. Yeah.
Edradour
blends at the time. Yeah.
Edradour was not a closed distillery when you took it over. Edradour was functioning.
It was functioning. Yes. Yeah.
But I suspect I didn't visit Edradour back in the late 90s or early 2000s. But I suspect I would not have seen such a thriving hub of whiskey activity as I see today.
No.
The obvious question, and I'm sure that I'm asking a question that a lot of these guys are, what drives you from having quite a nice wee cushy independent bottling business to becoming a distiller?
Well, the ambition after I started Signatory was that one day that I wanted to own a distillery, that I would like to have a distillery. And when I had customers that came over, like my Japanese guy, I used to bring them up to Pitlochry because it was only an hour and a bit from Edinburgh, so it was an easy day's drive up, look round. It was a pretty place to stand at the bridge and look over and whatever. And I did manage to buy actually some 10-year-old, from it wasn't Pernod Ricard at the time, it was Campbell Distillers. And I would be selling it to my Japanese importer, that, paralleling it basically as it was in those days.
Yes.
But a friendly parallel. I told them what I was intending to do with it, and they turned a blind eye and were quite happy to
let me carry on.
So it always had a soft spot. I looked at many other distilleries before, including Ardbeg, Glencadam was another one that we almost bought. Glenturret, I almost had that nailed. I looked at the old Caledonia distillery in Haymarket. At that point, so much of it had been sold off for housing that there wasn't enough space to do anything with it there. Before Edradour came along, and it wasn't actually for sale. I badgered the guys at after Pernod Ricard, took over Seagram's, and they had all these larger distilleries. I reckoned that then Edradour would be surplus to the requirements. So I kept badgering them at shows, and I saw them at various whiskey shows, and they eventually, they said, no, it's not for sale, but we'll keep you informed or keep you in mind. And eventually I got a call from a guy called Georges Nectou, who was the chairman, French guy. Yeah. Chairman of Chivas Brothers at that time. And he said, it's always been a favourite place of mine, he said, and I always attached to it. He said he even stayed in the little cottages there sometimes, he said, when I came in. And he said, if I sell it, then I wanted to go to someone that's going to look after it, whatever. So he looked around at what we did and decided, yeah, he said, I think you would be a good guy, for it. So we couldn't get the price agreed. The accountants wanted £7 million for it. I thought, we couldn't get it stacking up much above 5.2. So when we met in Paisley at their HQ in the boardroom, I had me and my lawyer on one side, and there was an army of them at the other side of the table. And he said, well, tell me where you are with it. I had one piece of paper, a blank piece of paper with 2 numbers on it, I think. They had files and folders, and God knows all what there. And I think I said, well, I really can't get it to, much above, 5.2. And he said, well, in our hearts, he said, we didn't want to let go for less than 5.6. And then I said, well, why don't we do the old Scottish thing and meet in the middle of 5.4? Which he said, well, why not? And I jumped up, shook his hand, and that was it. The deal was done.
Is that fella still around?
He's still in France. Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah. But, I mean, he's long
There's
retired.
a famous image of you on a bridge back in the day, and I think it might have been that fella you're with.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
and the two of you.
Yeah,
just,
he was handing over the keys.
Yes. Yeah.
The story before that was a year before I'd met Annette, my current partner, and we stood on the bridge, and she said, "Wow, it's such a beautiful place here." I said, would you like me to buy it for you? She said, bugger off. We said, bloody stupid. Whatever. 1 year later, we were standing at the bridge with the keys. I gave her the keys.
Yeah, wow.
And she still speaks to me this day. Yeah.
Well, I've had the pleasure of speaking to we might bully Annette into joining us late in the stream tonight. Yeah. But I asked her a direct question. She was enthusing about things as she had her torch and she's shining us down the lanes as we walked down tonight. And I said to her, Annette, you still enjoy this, don't you? And she said, yes.
Oh, yeah, she does.
She does. She said it's nice. And I think she, the buzz of whiskey, and the fact that this is very sentient.
I mean, she knew nothing about whiskey. She didn't drink whiskey, but she met me at all.
Yeah.
Now she'll tell me what's good to bottle.
Yes, it's a job. It's been a treat to hear it from Annette's side as well.
Yeah.
So you've got that thing. I mean, did you have some kind of foresight in order to be able to see if I want to continue being an independent bottler, it's probably going to be, or were you just singularly driven to be a distiller?
No, I think I started the independent bottling, but as back in the late 80s, 88, 89, we were still in the midst of the whiskey lock, and there was a tremendous amount of stuff that was available to you. Older things like Glenlockies and Glenvores, Glenalbans, all these things were in abundance at that time.
The owners of which wouldn't have known even what they were.
What to do with them, that's right.
Yeah.
Port Ellens, I mean, Peter Russell, who was a big supplier to me in the early days, Ian McLeod Company, or Isle of Skye as he was at that time. He had tons of Port Ellen, tons of Rosebank, and I must have bought nearly 250 casks of Rosebank from him over the years, And Peter was always delighted. We would always meet at an exhibition like Cial or in Paris, or the next one, Bordeaux. They'd be drinking gin all day or whiskey or whatever, we out at night and dine. He said, we haven't done any bloody business today. He said, are you going to buy something? I said, you got any more of that Port Ellen stuff? God, yeah, there's tons of it. Nobody wants it. Yeah. I said, 40 hogsheads, so I'll take them. He said, it's in our books, a couple of pennies a litre or whatever. He said, fantastic, great. So this will pay for the whole trip. And everything else. On a handshake, it was done. Yeah, and that was,
incredible days.
But these things dried up, and as time went on, and more people joined the independent bottling scene, it became a little bit harder. Those that had been blenders before suddenly became independent bottlers.
Yes.
So they were competing in the same space. The stock was starting to tighten up. It was getting harder. So the bigger guys were starting to launch malts more themselves. They sat up and paid attention. And it was getting tougher. They said, well, we don't need you to bottle our 21-year-old Glenlivet, Mr. Simon. Thank you very much. We'll do it ourselves. That's right. Yeah.
Thank you for showing us the way.
Yes. And, so it became apparent then, I felt if I wanted to continue in the industry, which I did, I didn't want to, give it all up, that I would need to buy my own distillery and make my own stuff. in order
The
to
determination is quite for you to be looking at Glenturret and Glencairn and various opportunities along the way. I didn't know about the Old Caledonia Distillery as well.
That was the first one I looked at.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to even. It's a distillery that we forget that even existed very all too readily.
Still have some
easily.
casks of 76.
Wow.
87. Caledonia grain tucked away there. Not many. There's very few left.
The one you almost bought. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've actually even tried a Caledonia. It's quite amazing. But it's at that time with the Rosebanks and the Port Ellens that the kudos wasn't there. I'll put it to you and see what you think about this. I think that it was down to the people who knew to protect that whiskey and look after it and put it out there and present it with integrity and all of that, these things. And the people who knew that were going to buy and consume that nobody at that time was interested in Rosebank or Port Ellen, not even Broras. I think it was the love of the liquid that drove what has now become legendary names and brands. Would you agree?
I mean, I know how many casks of Port Ellen I bought over the years. It's well into the 400 or 500s or whatever, but I do remember that there was a chap, Turnbull Hutton, who used to be in charge of the stocks back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I remember one Thursday night about 5:30, phoning up. Turnbull had his direct line, and he answered the phone. And I told him what it is. He said, he said, what do you want? I said, was there any chance that you would sell your Rosebank? A long silence. He said, no. He said, there's fuck all to buy. He said, it's been ransacked, gutted. And I said, well, what about Port Ellen? And there was a long silence. And, hello? And he said, fuck off, and put the phone down. And that was that.
Wow.
Port Ellen wasn't for sale either. So,
but at that time, it was silent. It was silent.
Yeah, it was silent then.
I don't know if they had the foresight, but now it's mere mortals like us. We can't even visit.
Turnbull's long gone.
Easily Port Ellen,
He died a good number of years ago, but he was a character and a half.
Yeah, he died before he saw the resurrection of the.
Indeed.
Or a new distillery built, in my opinion, on the Port Ellen site, but nevertheless, it's fantastic to see it back alive.
Yeah.
There's a wee drama in here from Justin Wan in Hong Kong, and I know that sometimes Justin stays late into the evening with us, but it's hours and hours and hours ahead for Justin. He's bought me a dram very generously. He says, question for both of you and the SWA. Here we go. Justin's on it, he's early, and he's saying, if whiskey from Edradour 1 and Edradour 2 were blended together, would that still be a single malt? I love it, Justin. And it's nice that these people live inside my head and they kind of ask, and I suspect that it won't be the first time that questions are going to be asked in advance of me saying, well, let's take that one, because I'm loving the anecdotes and the stories and things like that. But I also want to share what I've got in the glass, because everybody knows that I decide my content and what I'm going to do. If there's a guest on, I have invited the guest. And if I'm here on location, it's by mutual consent and because it's a place that I genuinely want to be. There's no exchange in place. I'm paying for more accommodation. I'm here. Seve's here. We're taking time off work and everything, just out of pure pleasure about the willingness to be here. So when I raise this bottle in front of you tonight, imagine it's a regular vPub and I'm just sitting behind the regular bar rather than being on location, because I think it's a whiskey that you guys are going to be interested in and need to know about from a genuine. Seve and I had a wee drama of this before we set up and asked for more of it for me to go live tonight. I'll plug this on your behalf with your permission. Whatever I get wrong, please step in and let me know. I'm going to hold this up to the camera because I want you to take this in. This is Symington's blended Scotch whiskey. This is a 10-year-old blend, 46% ABV, fully natural, as we would expect all Signatory vintage, all Edradour, Ballykin and Signatory products to be as of today. 46%. Am I telling tales out of school if I talk about the malt content?
No, not at all. No.
So this is 50% malt. Here's the thing. The target price for this to reach market is 30 quid, in the ballpark of £30. So that might be 30, 35 euros, wherever you are, 30, 32, 33 pounds, that kind of order. For a 10-year-old, the specs are perfect, but Seve and I shared a wee glass of this. He's raising the glass in the background, nodding his head enthusiastically for this type of...
It's very easy to drink.
I have to say, we need to take Justin's question, but I want to ask you, there is something that struck me, and I brought it up when you appeared on the Oswas with with Ralphie and I, you're very sensitive to price and what's an appropriate price in order to get people excited and opening and drinking and enjoying. You have been driven by trying to make things. I'm not meaning to put words in your mouth. This is my own personal perspective. It's as if you've been driven by trying to make things accessible again. Is this part of that?
Yeah, partly that is part of the reason. In fact, we were asked by a new customer in Turkey, who took Edradour 10 and Caledonia and Blechin. They also wanted a blend, so I said to them, I don't do blends as such, but I can put you in touch with a good friend, Leonard Russell, who will happily sell you a blend and whatever. And the guy said to me, no, he owns 40 five-star hotels. He owns the largest winery in Turkey. He's obviously a very wealthy gentleman. He said, no, he said, I like what I see here. And he said, you have the whiskies. He said, you must be able to make a blend yourself. So I thought after a long day, there were 6 of them here and they wouldn't go away. I succumbed and said, okay, I'll do it. So I put it together, sent them a sample. They loved it and said, wow, give us that. So.
And that gave you the motivation or the nudge to have a new product.
Yeah. We've been buying grain since 2007, from North British. The idea was that we were going to resurrect King's Ransom, which was a brand that was synonymous with Edradour for many years. We haven't got around to doing that yet, so I've got all this grain, so I started using the grain. I put the grain in possible bourbons and some sherries as well, so it's grain in very good first-class wood. It's not just second or third floor rubbish, so. I
think it's very obvious. I think there's an element of people out there that's going to have an idea at a distance what this might taste like, but at the risk of overselling, which I'm occasionally want to do, but there is a balance and a delicacy here if you're looking for a nice, easy, malty sipper. I'll go as far to say that I think this would masquerade quite nicely as a gentle malt. I think it's very well balanced, very flavoured, and there's a wee bit of grunge in here. And is there any Edradour in this?
There's a little bit of Edradour in it, yes, I'll be honest. Okay. And there's also a little bit of Ben Nevis in it.
Very nice.
From PX casks.
Very nice.
So you get that coming through it.
And you reserve the right, no doubt, in the future to switch up the recipe and things. And
I have enough stocks to make this recipe last, hopefully for the next 5 or 6 years.
We're going to hopefully get on to talk about this. We got a lot of questions in after the Europeans on the Scotch Whisky Awards. Yeah, cheers. And talking about the stocks and things that you were on. But let's just quickly take a wee sidestep. We'll take, since our pal in Hong Kong, Justin, is staying up so late with us. we you and I have been talking about this Edradour 1, Edradour 2 thing.
Yeah.
You have, from my perspective, as I walk on site here, there are 2 distilleries. I presented it in that wee video short there as clumsily as I did to show people that everything is identical. Yeah. Down to fermentation vessel size.
Yeah.
There's more fermentation vessels in the new distillery.
Turnkey operations for size. So exactly.
Copy this and make it into this. Yeah. Different layout, slightly different pipework.
Forsyth did the original Edradour too. It was Richard Forsyth, who's currently now his senior's father, Richard Junior's grandfather, that had drawings of the stills from 1957 when they first put them in.
Amazing.
And so they were able to get the old drawings out and replicate it exactly to the way.
And the original distillery's been refurbished, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're both as close as like for like you can get on slightly different.
They're about 9 months apart.
Yeah. So to me, I'd look at that and I would suggest this is not a Balvenie or a Caninvie situation where it's being fed from already existing blocks in production. They're 2 completely different that could operate in isolation from each other.
Yeah, they could, I suppose. Yeah, but we're using the same cooling water. We're using the same burn water.
Sure.
Same water source coming off the hill at the back there. We're using the same barley, the same yeast, the same casks, the same. If you taste the 2 spirits,
they're
blindly,
parallel distilleries is what you are.
Yes, pretty much so. If you taste the 2 spirits coming off them blindly, you wouldn't be able to tell which was which. I couldn't.
So that
I had them marked and I got them wrong.
That goes some way to answering Justin's question from an organoleptic point of view.
So we
But what
intend,
about legally?
we bottle, legally, as far as I'm concerned, it is okay. Yeah. My interpretation is it's okay.
Product from Edradour 2?
Yeah.
The product from
Will
Edradour
be
1?
blended together.
And still remain
That's
a single
one.
malt?
Still remain a single malt.
So that's fairly...
Unless I'm told different.
Yeah.
Or proven different. Right now, we have released a bottling from Edradour number 2
Shall we have a wee...
for the 200th anniversary. This I was planning to be the only time that we would ever bottle an Edradour number 2 on its own.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was the idea, but 9,000 bottles in, we did 9,000 bottles because we didn't want it to be highly collectible and be able to be flipped.
Yes.
And be flipped at auctions and so on. So, but it's sold so quick, so fast, and it's had very good response.
I had some
we
friends...
might have to rethink what we do here.
I had some friends come over from Croatia, a pal Krešimir, and a few of his friends, great guys. But one of them, a chap called Vlaho, was so struck by this that he bought it and he opened it while he was still in Scotland and was actively sharing it around with people. Took him to Glasgow Distillery and places like that, and he had the open bottle. I just let everyone see that bottle and hope that it might attempt to focus on this. No, it sees your face, Andrew, and it's want to focus on that. So I'll just reach a wee bit further and force it. So this is Edradour number 2. You can clearly see that that's written on the label here. This is the inaugural. 57.1% ABV, which there might be a bit of a theme about that. Matured in first fill sherry, but
so we get the 100 proof.
yeah, and it's despite it being from Edradour number 2, which was 2018.
January 2018. 4th of January 2018.
This is commemorating 200 years of Edradour.
Well, we just wanted people to know that it was there, and it's been part of the 200th anniversary. So. It has gone down very well on its own.
An inaugural to celebrate 200 years of a distillery.
It's slightly lighter in colour than the normal 10-year-old, purely because some of the cherry casks that we were given were actually American oak, unknown to us. I didn't know that we were told we were always getting Spanish or European oak. But these are definitely American oak. That's where you get the.
So you find a lighter colour from American oak.
The lighter colour and that extra spiciness. There's a kind of almost like gingerbread spiciness, cloves
from the oak. Yeah,
from the American oak. Yeah, I mean, ideally, what we want to do, once they both hit 10, is merge the two together. That remains to be seen. We may well have to do 2 separate bottlings. There's more demand for this, but I've resisted.
Well, the alternative is right now is an Edradour blended malt.
Well,
that's actually a single blended malt.
Yes, you could.
I love the fact that there are distilleries out there that can tie the definitions in knots and challenge them at times. Yeah. Cheers.
Your good health. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ginger. So, no, that's broad. It's good.
It has that funkiness to it as well. It's got that kind of funk in the back. You feel it in the back, that grunge. You can kind of chew. Yeah, that's a word I like. It's a good descriptor for that kind of. It's not. It's a wee bit like the funk, but I think funk has been kind of almost a mulchy thing, and that's it's the short, dumpy fat stills that give it that oily.
Yeah. And almost an industrial edge, right? A kind of heft and a weight.
Heavy oiliness. Yeah.
And I hope that people that caught that wee silly video clip from me at the start, you could see how kind of chunky. The stills have got quite a lot of presence. They're just kind of sitting there. It's like they've been dropped from a height, and they just kind of lie there. This kind of these kind of fat stills, and we know as we kind of progress in our whiskey journey how much we come to fall in love with those kinds of products and those kinds of stills. Here's to Justin. Thank you for staying up late, buddy, and thank you for the virtual round, buddy. Cheers, Justin.
Cheers. So
we've got a scenario where you come in, Edradour's ticking over. Can I just be frank?
Yeah.
Can I just be candid with you? Yeah. And it's got very little reflection on you, but back in the early days of my whiskey exploration, I heard about this wee Pitlochry distillery. It was an amazing place to go. Coaches turned up, filled the car park regularly, had a great visitor centre, all that stuff, and actually was the most visited distillery in Scotland many years over, right? And that time it didn't come up, but I did buy a bottle of Edradour, and I suspect I picked a bad one because it made me feel, and it might have been because I was earlier in my journey, but I suspect it was also because there was a volatility to the bottlings back then. Would that be unfair?
No, that's not unfair at all. Basically, what you had was 3 stillmen. All of them were alcoholics, and at any one time, one was off drying out, while the other 2 soldiered on.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so you had a very strange. They had access to a small warehouse up here where, when it was eventually shut down, there were an awful lot of empty casks. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Stuff like that. Yeah, it was just one of these things, I think. And it was a remote part. It was always the smallest part of Campbell Distillers or whoever before it. And they got away with murder, basically. And what would happen in those days, often what happened was, they always put a kind of industrial type soap flakes into the wash still. Everybody did, to stop them foaming, and anti-foaming soap. They would run out of it here, so one of them would nip down to the co-op and buy bars of Fairy and chop
any
up
old soap.
Fairy soap. Fairy hand soap, body soap, chop it up and throw it into the still. Now that was okay on its own, but then if they were pished, they didn't realise they let the still boil over into the spirit still. And once you've done that, then that's it totally
contaminated.
It's contaminated, and it's almost impossible to get rid of. You can get rid of it. There's a filtration process that you can do now that will basically strip the whiskey back to almost a clear liquid. I've still got some casks. I've got some casks in 91, a couple. I'm going to do it because to see, because I've got the filtration system now that off of one of the companies that know how to do it. But it strips the spirit, it strips everything out of it.
Wow!
So it's going back to almost clear liquid.
Yeah. You
need to stick it back in the sherry butt for another 5 or 10 years to get the colour back. So it'd be interesting to see if it works. I've had all sorts of suggestions from others.
I've never heard such a thing. Of course, I've heard about the soap. I've heard about that.
It wasn't unique to Edradour. It was very prominent
absolutely.
in Fettercare. I've got a couple of casks of Fettercare like that. Glenturret had the same problem. Like that. And Bowmore had the problem for many years.
Yeah.
So
there's quite a few.
There's a few.
Even throughout the years, it's known for its soapy quality.
Has had its issues
What do we do in a modern sense? How are we controlling the wash still?
Now there's an anti-foam liquid called tan foam that most people use. So it's not as extreme as soap, but it's just an anti-foaming sort of liquid. You put a little cup full of 5 or 10 ml into the wash still,
and it doesn't contaminate the flavours.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And is that needed in the majority of places? Just some places, occasionally.
I think I think everybody uses it. It's commercially available through one of the big chemical companies that everybody uses. So I'm assuming, unless it is fully automated process where they've got the temperature controlled so finely that there's still never bubbles over bubbles. But I don't believe that to be the case. So
and I think a lot of when you control things so finely, that automation tends to make a more kind of generic, homogenized product. That might be true. Whereas if there's a bit of human hands and things and a bit of, you can get a wee bit more.
The odd cock up here and there. Of course there will be.
Sometimes the cock ups are nice. Sometimes the cock ups are
it can be. I mean, touch wood, we've not had any in the recent 10 years that I can remember or know of, because you're also relying on the stillman to tell you. But I am tasting every batch. Till we fill casks, twice a week on a Wednesday and Friday. After 5 runs in each place, so I'm tasting the spirit before it goes into cask. So
I fully believe that that's the case, and I think that one of the upsides, depending on how you look at it, one of the downsides of doing what I'm doing for 8 years is that people can go back to my early content and hear me talking about Edradour. And I think there's been a time in the past that Edradour's even featured as one of my series of the ignored, these distilleries that for some reason I seem to be able to walk past them. And at one point in time, that was Edradour. And I think it's because of the experience I had in the early days. And even some friends who'd been buying a couple of bottles, they would sometimes there would be a bit of consensus there. And
it wasn't everywhere. It was only occasionally, every now and again. But it showed you that whoever was doing the bottling at Campbell Distillers didn't control the casks.
Right. And it only takes
and banged them together and bottled it without.
It only takes a few bad bottles. Bad bottles are amplified more than good bottles, I think.
Pretty famous names from the past that were responsible for putting that together. I'm not going to mention them, but one or two of them are still around. They're still alive, should I say? That others are not. But there was no quality control in those times at all. But it wasn't every cask, and as our anniversary bottlings prove, we have a 30-year-old up there, and we did two 35-year-olds, the Enigma 1 and 2. They were from way before my time. The 35-year-olds were 1989 whiskies. So we had other casks in the batch in 1999 that were 10-year-old that were soapy. So those two were perfectly distilled at that time and have survived the length of time. As has the 30-year-old as well. So it was patchy, it was periodic. I guess it depended what Stillman was on, which one was sober, which one was good and bad, or
absolutely.
whatever. Sadly, all three of them are no longer around.
And I think the point that you make about the fact that would not be exclusive to Edradour.
No, it's not.
Such challenges as that.
No. I mean, I know of Castle Fettercairn, Glenturret, Glengarry, Bowmore.
From back in the day.
All have the same soapy problem.
Yeah. And for somebody that's been buying stock for as long as you would have that experience to see it. So
it didn't have a great reputation, which I didn't really know that at the time. I didn't know to an extent that, I mentioned to a few people, I said, I didn't buy that. It's not, you could do better, I thought, well, it's small enough for me to manage and I can make it better.
Yes.
And I had time on my side, so we're now coming into an age where we have a lot of, very interesting good products, 10, 12, 15, 21 now is our own stuff, 21-year-old bourbon, the 21,
I have to
some
say,
of our Berleckens.
It's very easy for me to admit as an outsider looking in, as a punter, as somebody who buys their own whiskey. Edradour has gone from be a try before you buy to I just buy. Yeah. And I think that one of the transformative bottles for me was probably the Caledonia, the 12-year-old.
Yeah, we did that in conjunction with Dougie McLean back in 2009.
Yeah.
That's been
any expat Scots out there who've ever, in fact, you don't even need to be Scottish to enjoy how much of an emotional song that is about.
I see a few people that are actually tasting
Caledonia
in their glass tonight. I've seen that. I've seen quite a few actually there. It has quite a good following. To be honest, I think we sell.
I think it's a fantastic, and I hesitate to use we can throw away terms in whiskey, but it's old school. There's an old school nature to the Caledonia 12-year-old. And I think if you're trying to articulate what an old school whiskey is to some people, that's an affordable, accessible 12-year-old in order to do that.
From good old traditional sherry casks, the good Ardnamurchan sherry casks that we get now.
Often European oak, right?
From Miguel-Martin, supposedly always European oak, but not always.
Yes,
As he was aware. But then, sherry went through a lot of problems in itself. I should be careful what I say. I shouldn't talk tales out of school, but how things like Aberlarabuna went from being very dark to almost kind of pale orangey colour over the years. There was reasons for that. And that's there was a sherry scandal at one point there. Let's just say there wasn't a lot of sherry.
We're recovering from that now? Or?
Yes, we have recovered from it big time. Yes, But there was a period there, 2012, probably through to end of 18, 19, where there was a real problem. But that has been resolved from what I understand. You'll notice some of the bigger companies now own controlling interests in the cooperages in Spain. That
controlling interest in your supply chain is a fundamental these days, and when wood is just so critical.
Some were amazed when they opened their casks and realised what was inside them. It wasn't the... Wow. Let's just say,
So you've experienced that as well?
We did, yes, but it was rectified for us. We were given replacement casks and everything else, top dollar. And we had to do the work and so recasting them, but no, it's all worked out fine now. And now, I'm absolutely 100% convinced. What we get is, I see them coming in. We spend about £2.5 to £3 million per year on wood, on sherry casks of varying degrees in nature. And I know everyone that comes in.
I have to say I think we live
we're punching way above our weight in terms of sherry casks there, and I know Miguel Martin is very proud and famous of supplying us. His father did before him, and he ensures that we get exactly what we need. Exactly,
not just purchasing for the whiskey you produce.
He knows what we need.
You're purchasing for the whiskey that you have in stock as well. Phil Eberson is saying I'm on my second dram of Caledonia. It actually changes a fair bit in the glass over time. Wonderful. Alistair McPhail, we were talking about Alistair earlier today. Alistair, it's good to see you, buddy. My mum, an expat Scot, loves that Caledonia. It's nice to have a saltire on the label to help with the patriotism too. Henrik Schmidt, good to see you, Henrik. He's saying, does Symington have problems with finding casks of better quality these days due to prices and availability?
Well, to be honest, I haven't bought any casks in the last 7 years. I haven't had to because we bought, when over the last 20 odd years, I'd put every penny back into stocks of whiskey, and that's why we have such a big stock of over 38,800 gas or whatever.
This is phenomenal. Sorry to interrupt, but this is the inaugural number 2. Sorry.
And recently though, now I can tell you now in this last month or two, pricing is coming down in gas. So we've been approached now by many.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I thought that maybe because everyone's throttling production now, I thought with the amount of sheer stock that was required, the amount of warehousing that casks would be at a premium.
Well, not at the moment. What has happened is, sales have dropped tremendously for everybody, let's be honest, ourselves included. But during the COVID, just after the COVID years, people stepped up production, all these new distilleries started, and they overestimated how much single malt they're going to sell. And they've now had a reality check and realized that they probably have 20-25% too much malt stock that they produce, and they've cut back tremendously right back.
That's interesting.
There's one major distiller that I can tell you has cut back from 8 million to 1 million litres of alcohol next year. I'm not going to name them, but
that's not 25%.
That's a massive drop.
That's significant.
So they need money. They need to sell casks. They want to sell casks. So there's an appetite there. I bought some very interesting things in this last couple of months. In fact, you saw a truckload of them in the car park.
I did
this morning. That I was unloading. That was some.
We managed to piggyback on a wee sample quality check.
Yes, of the check
was coming as well, and it was just that was a privilege, a phenomenal thing to experience.
Yeah.
That's how. But I think the thing that struck both Seve and I, we commented on it, is that the excitement. You've been in this for 4 decades, but there's I'd hesitate to say a boyish excitement, but there is a wee bit. You were keen to grab a sample of that and say, what have I bought? What is this stuff like? And I think we bottle it now.
Yes, possibly we will.
Yeah, that's really young.
It's going to be another 100 proof.
Oily, heavy. I mean, you could really taste the malt husks in there. I think that everything's so malty, but just a wonderfully big, boomy
It's 6 years old in March, so I think it might be 100 proof.
So you might release it.
Yes, it's bourbon cask, so that's one of your favourites.
We like all the whiskies.
Yes,
but we like a wee bit of focus on bourbon casks.
I am very, very sherry orientated. That's always been my taste, and you see that through a lot of the Signatory bottlings. I've been a lot of very heavily sherry. I understand it's not everybody's taste. So now I've started pairing it back, using first, second fills, but adding some bourbons into the mix. If you see a lot of the 100 proofs now are not just 100% straight sherry, there is a mixture of casks in there. So we put together, experimented with the balance that we think that's different. You can still taste the distillery character coming through, but the sherry sweetness is there too.
So that's you leveraging a wee bit of that small batch thing.
Again, it's listening to what people say.
Yep.
People come back and tell me, "Oh, it's good, but it's all too sherry. Do something that's not sherry."
Which is lovely if you want an extreme sherry.
It's
part of the spectrum. But you don't.
And this is where the series was born from. It was born from the idea that after COVID, when we got to the end of 23, when suddenly everything just fell off a cliff, the cost of living crisis kicked in, and people didn't have as much money. And whiskey prices were through the roof. I thought, I saw some extortionate prices for stuff. Now, it's easy for me to say that because I bought stocks, that are very, very cheap. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the prices that are in. I've got 16, 17-year-old malts that are in my books at £2.20 per litre of alcohol, to buttons.
And we're not talking about an occasional cask, are we? We're talking about
thousands of casks. Yeah. So, it's very easy to do. It won't be easy to replace them at that price, but then listen, I'm 62 now. I'm, well, in 20 years' time, it won't be my problem. I have 2 boys coming behind me.
Andrew Jr. and
That's right,
Christopher's problems.
So while Dad's away skiing, spending the kids in
I suspect that given what we see today, they'll still be in a better position than most to make the decisions and calls then.
They will.
So what you've just admitted there is that what we all suspected, and I think we touched upon it briefly in the Oz, was that, and because there's a question on my lips here, and I'm going to get to it, and it's just such an obvious thing to ask, but your releasing of the 57.1 100 proof series releases was in direct response to market conditions.
Yes.
But Andrew, sorry, that just seems obvious. Why were there so few people that did that? Or was it just that you were one of the first?
I think we were the first to
because you had the ability to
react to it. And it wasn't just me, it was also Christoph Kirsch, our German importer and partner. Yep. I tested him out. I said, where's the price point that you need to be at to sell some volume? And I also had a lot of stock. I mean, and some of the stock now is getting on, and we got over 1,000 casks of 30-year-old whiskies, which are all, which are in their peak and prime, but the strengths are coming down. You see each year the strengths are down 51, 49, 48. They're not, they're coming down, and where are you going to sell it? You can't sell 30-year-old whiskey now at £400 or £500 a bottle. For a Linkwood or a Mortlach or whatever, Ben Rinnes or whatever, it would
2021
sell.
You might have been able
you
to.
might have got away with it. You would sell a couple of casks. But I have several hundred of some of these things. So it's time now to do something with them and to give value back to the consumer. Who is maybe having hard times.
This is the point in the live stream. I'm ready to hug the man, but it's these things do seem natural, understandable, almost obvious, but we were always suspecting that there had to come a critical point in the future, that because you're told that, this 21-year-old, this is the rarest of the rare of the rare of the rare, and then you're kind of led around the tour or the distillery tour later, and they take you back through the Dunge warehouse, and there's cask upon cask upon cask upon cask from the 80s and the 90s. Sorry, I thought you said this was as rare as. So there's a little bit of kind of there has to be a reality, and so we're talking about overselling and what has happened now. And there's a lot of people out there that would suggest that some things that have been released from Signatory Vintage is actually underselling. But if you've just stated,
I would. Why would I bottle something and sell it at a loss? I'm not in the business of. I'm not a registered charity, but I give it away for nothing. I'm just reacting to the market conditions at this time. It will move back again at some point, but it will be another maybe 3, 4, 5 years. Things will start to move up again. I don't think it's even reached the bottom yet, to be honest. I think you will find next year there will be even bigger bargains, not necessarily from me, but from bigger multinationals.
Wow.
I think you'll find things in supermarkets, for sub 20 quid.
The pendulum swings too hard at times, right? And the greed got very, very, very difficult, I think, for a lot of people. And it's we're not mentioning names and things, I think, but everybody knows that we all felt the same. We were struggling. We were working together as enthusiasts in a community to find where the value was in a very difficult place. But then the pendulum swung back hard for us. And we feel like whiskey's coming back to us a little bit. But we're always a little bit nervous because we want whiskey to be healthy too. So the balance should be somewhere in the middle, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of sense about that. I think it's fascinating to see you releasing products. And I would go as far to talk about the fact that some of the older stuff and the cask strength releases and things, I've seen the prices attenuate a little. I've seen them become a little bit more affordable. And suddenly we're going back out.
We've reduced our range. All our Edradour range, we brought down in price, including the 12-year-old, which I think was selling for around £80-90. I think that was ridiculous. Unfortunately, I had an accountant at the time who was doing his job, trying to make me as much money as possible. But there comes a point where it doesn't make any sense, and we're just realigning where we are. The Edradour 10-year-old now is 46%. It's gone from 40 to 43 to 46. It's now unchill filtered, and we haven't raised our price in 3 years. And there's been several big duty increases there as well. We haven't touched it also. It's still under 50 quid in most places. At 46%, it's phenomenal malt. There's such a night and day difference between chill filtered 40, 46. And we're seeing it in our sales. Our sales have dramatically risen in this last 3 months.
I'm on record as saying that the Edradour 10, the 200th anniversary release, is... Andrew, I'll go.
That just happened to come together by chance because, we had an accountant who bought things like tube wraps, by the 100,000 or 200,000 in order to save 0.02 pence.
So they came printed with the ABV.
They were all printed and done ready, yes, and you made them up, 20 pallets now, so I had about a year's supply or 2 years supply of certain things. So I didn't want to throw them all away. We paid for them. It wouldn't, it's ethical to make that much waste of printed paper. You should use them up and do them. And that's another reason why I wanted to do the 100 proof with no packaging at all. It's becoming more and more obvious that people don't want packaging. There's certain countries now, Australia, if it's anything under $100, whatever, there's no packaging allowed. It's the same in Quebec and Canada. It will become more and more. I think we'll see it in Finland. Sweden is the next one that's going to say under a certain price level, there's no packaging allowed. And I quite agree with that to a certain extent.
Me too.
We do. But some people say, "Oh, but I want it as a gift, so I need to give it to somebody with something in it." So we did a range at 48.2, which is just a black tube, but there's a duplicate label on it, so it isn't a cylinder tube if you want to give it as a gift. But the 100 proof outsells at 12 to 1. So
yeah,
and so I think it's showing us now you don't need packaging. It shouldn't be wrapped up like a Christmas tree, whatever.
Every time
it's not necessary.
Yeah, I get it completely. And I'll be honest with you, in my own personal whiskey collection at home, I want to see the colour of the whiskey.
Yeah,
I want to see the level the bottle's at, and if it's in the tube or the box, you can't see that. Yeah. So I absolutely, completely understand that. Buy a cask of Linkwood, says Justin Wan, and I'll take a case. He's a huge Linkwood fan, our man Justin.
We've got a lot of Linkwood casks available.
So we're talking about a lot of interesting dynamics that you've seen change over the years, and your ability to kind of get involved in, because you're very much, if you don't mind me saying, you're a sleeves up, dirt under your fingernails, boots on. You're more likely to be
cut myself in a cast today. That's the catering blaster in case it drops in the back.
You're more likely to be in the yard with a high vis and a telehandler than you are in the office working out what the graphics on the next release or whatever. And there's an endearing thing to that. But when you do touch the commercial side and you do make decisions and you do come along with concepts like the 100 proof series, the exceptional cask version of the same, and these types of things, I think they're from a position of sensible business. I also get a wee inkling that they're also from the perspective of somebody who just loves the whiskey and wants people to be drinking it.
Yes, to an extent. I mean, I kind of lost touch with the whiskey community maybe around 2008 when we started to expand by building warehousing here in the Caledonia Hall, and then we expanded the tasting bar we built here, we expanded the shop. We built and built and built, and then we built Edradour
so
number 2.
Your focus does this.
Yeah, yes. I stopped going to shows and exhibitions because we were selling everything we could at the time, probably, and I was so focused on, I was involved in the building, the projects, We had architects, but a lot of the ideas were just ideas I had, like the Caledonia Hall came from Prestonfield House, but I did catering there. I knew I needed a nice banqueting hall, and I knew what to do. I knew how to have a good kitchen there and do all the bits to entertain. I wanted an entertainment from your complex, which we have had some real rock and roll parties at.
I can imagine.
The 200th anniversary was a cracker. It was an absolute.
Occasionally with Doogie McLean.
Doogie's become a great friend. He's just down the road. In fact, we're going for dinner. Our annual Christmas dinner is next Tuesday. Just the four of us and the kids. So we get together. We're going to expand the Caledonia range next year. Doogie's got to the stage where he's 40 odd years into it now, so we've got not a 40-year-old, we haven't got one yet, but we'll probably do maybe a 21 or maybe a 25. We'll do a Caledonia Silver, a Caledonia Gold, and the final one, 4, 5, 6 years time will be a Caledonia Platinum, which may be the 40. We'll see.
Fantastic.
Just to add a bit of spice to it, a bit of stuff. We've got the Caledonia Guitar, which was made out of one of the first casks that we emptied. It was made by Jimmy Moon Guitars in Glasgow. He's a famous guitar maker in Glasgow.
I heard that was picked up for an absolute fortune at auction.
Yes. In 2009, we started Cask Caledonia, and Jimmy made this guitar, and we decided to auction it. It was called the Tartan Clef Awards at the time in the big Glasgow. It was the big exhibition place. There was about 400 people there, 500 people there, and various old bands at the SECC. And there was about 50 tables, and we'd given a bottle of Cask Caledonia for each table. And we were at one end because Doogie had won a prize as best, contemporary folk, whatever. And there were any other number of Scottish, the View had just come in, the group from Dundee at that time. They were sitting on the table next to us. And I always remember the guy said to me, I don't know if it was a singer or drummer, Kyle, like his name was. He said to me, can you get me his autograph? I said, can you sign the tube here? I said, I'll get to do that for you, no problem. He said, it's not for me, he says, for my dad.
Superb.
Who is he? So he signs it and gives it back to me. But anyway, there was another guy, Doogie's sound technician guy, a guy called John Ramsey, sadly no longer with us. But John was at the other side of the hall, but I couldn't see him. Now, the bidding started and it got to about $2,000. And it kind of slowed down, and somebody went 2.5. So we went 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. I still couldn't see who was bidding. It was just going up and up. And it got to $4,000, and I just said, fuck it, that's it, done. So we got the guitar for $4,000. And then afterward, I stood up, to shout to get it. John Ramsey's at the back. He said, "It was you bugger." He said, "I was bidding." He said, "To get it for you." He said, "To get to the distillery." At the end of the day, it was such a funny story. But at the end of the day, the $4,000 went to the Nordoff Robbins, music therapy for handicapped kids, which was a great charity. Anyway,
so the fact you couldn't see each other, the fact you got into a bidding war, the charity
got $2,000 more. And we still have the guitar here, and Doogie comes and plays it a couple of times a year at various parties.
Well, before I ask you the question that I'm bursting to ask you, we need something in the glass, Andrew. So on this occasion, it's dealer's choice. I've got something that I want to pour and share with you.
Here we've got some.
I like the idea that he's just glanced over his left shoulder, because that means that we're going in, and I'll see what you guys are. Moonguitars.co.uk. It's Sugar Kitty Jeff has given us a wee link there to it. Wow.
There you go. Yeah.
Paul Eberson is saying, I've just poured the Craigellachie 2007-16 exceptional casks. Not had it for a while. My marvelous. It sounds perfect. And on theme as well, Paul. Fantastic. Everyone, good to see you, Chris. How are you keeping? He's saying, I'm very curious what your learner guest Crystal Ball is telling him. I suspect that we might hopefully get to that a wee bit later, Chris. It's fantastic to have you all and hanging out with us tonight. What have we opened here? Can we have a wee look?
Yeah, this is a 25-year-old Madeira cask.
Madeira as well. Those of you that, oh my goodness, look at ABV on this. Those of you that have been following me for long enough, would know that I have a wee bit of a fetish for Madeira casks. I think it's a fantastic cask for maturing Scotch whisky.
Absolutely love it. Yeah.
But this is a 25-year-old Edradour. I knew leaving it to dealer's choice would mean, and it's 55% ABV. That's one of my, it's a wee vanity ABV for me. I love the strength. So, where's a 25-year-old Edradour, and this would have been just before
99,
you signed on the dotted line, right? Just
at that time, only about 10% of it went into sherry butts, and the rest was in second or third prologues, because most of it was destined for Clan Campbell 12-year-old.
So it was just anything that got into a legal condition.
Yeah. So we recast this, I think, in 2003 into First Fill Madeiras. So it's not really a finish anymore. It's been 21 years in the Madeira cask and 4 years in the second full hoggy. So there's an old. It's that old, yeah.
But I want to. It's not old just in the fact that obviously it's old. Right, it's 25 years old, but yeah, it's. And a lot of the notes that you use to articulate whiskey can sometimes seem a wee bit negative. I don't mean it to be. There's a kind of almost like a. I can't remember the brand, like a kiwi shoe polish, a tin of wax shoe polish about it. And so much fruit, red fruit, bright red fruit, sweet fruit.
The legs and that.
Trifle.
Beautiful. Amazing legs.
Thank you. I may be tempted to let you choose some more
I've
whiskies.
nurtured this for many
Cheers to
years
everyone.
until now. Nurtured it for a good number of years.
There are lots of whiskies out there that are cool and they're like an outdoor breeze, like fresh linen and stuff, but this is the opposite. There's a warmth to this when you taste it. It's warming, it's comforting, it's big, there's base notes here.
Yeah, it's cloying. Yeah, you can taste it. It's absolutely
Oily. What a treat. How much would we be paying for this? Do you know what this
I
is?
think it's around £300 a bottle, I would think.
Chocolate and spice on the finish as well. Maybe that's
320.
Madeira. Sorry, how much that?
Maybe 300, I think.
300 quid, 300 euros.
It's a one-off, yeah. So it's not going to be repeated again.
You want it? Sorry, Seve.
Yeah, of course.
Is that okay?
Yes, of course, absolutely. Yeah.
He's sitting there with a wee petted lip going, what's happening? You're getting the good stuff.
Thank you very much.
This is no longer really the tasting bar. It was the tasting bar, but it's really become my kind of sample room. As you can see by the hundreds of various samples that are around here, this is where I kind of work. And
we have to talk about that, but I'll get the big question out of the way first. You're reading the room, the writing's on the wall, you're coming along, things are clipping it along just great. You've built Edradour.
One thing I didn't finish on there, I kind of detached myself from the whiskey, side of it, shows and exhibitions and things. Recently, I've got back into it a little bit. This year, we went to Whisky Live Paris, partly because of the 200th anniversary, and we did the inaugural Whisky Live Hamburg as well, both of which I thoroughly enjoyed. Our stands were overrun and it was extremely hard work. I forgot how hard work it is standing at one of these stands for 8 hours a time. And it certainly made me think that I'm not as young as I used to be, that's for sure. Sometimes I have to sit on the old stool at the front and just wave and shake hands. But no, it was extremely good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So we did the Osmonds this year. I've really never really done anything on social media at all. Like I say, I'm not one for blowing my own trumpet as such. I just like to let the whiskey talk and do it. If I can put stuff in the bottle at a good price and people say, wow, that's good. It's not me I want them to talk about, it's the whiskey I want them to talk about, And if I bring a smile to somebody's face, if they say, wow, that's an amazing whiskey, that brings a lot of pleasure to me, so. Yes. And now I'm getting a little bit more into it. And we did the Osmonds, as I say. You've talked me into coming along here or doing this tonight. Normally, I would never have done something like this. But I must admit, I'm quite enjoying it. And it's amazing to see all the comments that are up on the board there. I didn't realize so many people looked in at the one time to see these things. It's phenomenal. People, it's quite.
I have to say, Andrew, to blow a wee bit of.
I'm going to maybe do a few more shows. I know you're trying to convince me to do one, which I think we probably will do that now.
I'm going to pretend that we're across the table. You said probably.
You said you'd hold my hand.
I absolutely will.
Throughout it.
No, I think, and I think that's right. I think that once you've been away from it for a wee while, do you still know the same faces? The vibes,
I don't know.
Feeling?
I realised that, especially in Paris and in Hamburg, especially, there were a lot of Germans that I knew 20, 25 years ago. And, whilst I say, my God, has he not aged? When I looked in the mirror myself, they're probably saying, God, look at him.
You should try doing things on video. I celebrated 8 years of the vPub recently, and I saw myself from 8 years ago. But it's just a nature. The alternative is much worse, right?
Yes, I'm sure.
So I think that what you may be surprised about, despite the fact that things have moved on in terms of the amount of people and the types of people, but the appreciation, the kindness, the generosity, the welcoming nature of our whiskey community is very, very healthy.
Yeah,
people are genuinely looking. People don't like other people to feel left out. People want people to come in and enjoy it. It's all about sharing. It's all about positivity. the negative people get put back in their boxes because that's not what we want. There's enough of that in our lives. Our whiskey space is a positive space, and we want to preserve it. I think might be nice to, it would be a pleasure for me. I think what Andrew is hinting towards is the Independent Spirits Festival in March. I think the tickets are sold out for that now. I think it's gone. There might be one or two left, but if there are any,
I just made.
If there are any, that's Jimmy Legg. I think that's a commitment he just made, right? If Jimmy says
it's on record now.
So I would suggest to you that if you are interested in getting a ticket for Leith, the 21st of March next year, the festival in March of this year was. It was just wonderful. It's difficult for me to express how buoyant the atmosphere was. It was all independent bottlers, all in the hall together, sleeves up, bringing the best of stuff, just celebrating everything that was amazing about independent bottling and what it means to the whiskey industry as a whole. If we could welcome you there, even for a short spell, Andrew, in 2026, it would be my privilege, and I will make sure that you're looked after. Jimmy Legg, I'll give you a wee love heart for that as well. Thank you for bookmarking that. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for the drama as well, Jimmy. Cheers. Cheers, Andrew.
Cheers.
21st of March.
Is it 21st of March?
So I might need to work with the organizer, the guy who does all the heavy lifting. Is of course David Sturck, and if he's running a wee waiting list for tickets, we'll see what we can do for you all. Now, to get to the crunchy questions, Andrew, because there are a couple.
I'm sure I was.
Yeah, you see.
I'm waiting for them.
Yeah, you see what's happening in whiskey over the years.
Yeah,
and we've had in excess of 60 new distilleries founded in Scotland since you took ownership of Edradour in 2002. More than 60. We've never seen growth like that ever in the past. Now, we have seen growth in the past that was equivalent to that in terms of scale, percentage scale, but in the number of new brands, all much smaller distilleries maybe, but we've never seen anything like it.
No.
And yet in 2018, you still stepped forward and build another distillery. What was going through your head?
It wasn't the Me Too syndrome. It was more, we realized we didn't have enough here at Edradour. We were selling everything that we could make at that point. And, that's partly why.
And this must go back to like 2014, 2015, the planning of that. I mean, it goes back to way, way, way before a pandemic or Brexit or any of these.
Yeah, I mean, we realized probably around 2014, 15, we were no longer going to be the smallest distillery. So we changed our, to Scotland's Little Gem.
Yes.
But then Scotland's Little Gem had little whiskey left. So we had to either, the accountant's way was charge until until the pipsqueak. But
yes,
I never liked that philosophy. Was not me at all. So I negotiated to buy the field next door from Athol Estates. That's why we managed to get that land, in order to build Edradour number 2.
So
and
from
we
the field next door, if
well.
anyone is aware of the stream that cuts through the distillery here, if you imagine looking up that stream, the field you're talking about is on to the left of the stream.
Yes, almost walking upwards.
As you go up the hill. Yeah. From Athol Estates.
Yeah, so we put a bridge across it, and then we bought the land. We also knew that we needed more warehousing. We didn't have enough warehousing here, so we built, the distillery part is very small. It's 470 meters long, of which about 25 meters is the front top of the actual distillery. The rest of it is 7 huge warehouses.
Half a kilometre up the hill, right? It's quite incredible. But it's almost like that TARDIS thing going on where you look at these tiny little cottage distilleries, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And then as you go up the hill, it's just never ending. Yeah. I'm going to struggle to get Seve home because Seve has fallen in love with the warehouses.
Can I see that 25 is
phenomenal.
It's good, yeah. It's quite good.
Discontinued fella.
It's quite good.
Yes, I did fall off the warehouses.
We're going to struggle with Seve.
Good,
we'll lose him in the warehouses. But I have to say that the expansion is not just, we'll add some capacity to the fermentation room here, we'll put on another shift. It's not only is it an expansion with a doubling at an exact same distillery, but there's space in that distillery to increase.
We could increase
even
now.
more.
Yeah, we could go to 500,000 litres if we wanted very easily.
Just in Edradour too,
or
over 2 sites.
Combined, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. If we stuck another 2 washbacks in, we could do 24/7 up in number 2. But we won't need to, not yet, not for a few number of years. We stepped it up in 23 to 300, just over 300,000. I think we did 311,000 litres, which is the most Edradour has ever produced. But the chap who was our third distiller at that point, he was at the Heriot Watt on the 1 year course. He was from Taiwan, David. His visa ran out after two years and they wouldn't renew it. So we let him go, but that was just when things were turning, Had he stayed, I would have kept going, because I wanted to build up a really decent amount of stock, so we could...
Long-term thinking, right?
Yeah, that we can keep, right now I'm determined Edradour 10 will stay under 50 quid, for sure. Even with the next duty increase, I've absorbed them all. I mean, this next one's another 46 pence or 42 pence a bottle,
And I know that this is affecting the UK domestic market specifically, but I mean, that's obviously a huge focus for Andrew. I mean, and we're continually seeing these annual stealth taxes on kind of so-called, I think it's a travesty, but if
I mean, we'd be able to make some, 2 years ago, we put 2 new bottling lines in. We spent 1.3 million doing 2 automated bottling lines, to do everything from the biscuit decanter to the flower vases, as people call them at the back there. It can handle flower vases, putting on neck labels, strip labels, back labels, heat shrinks, whatever. So you put it on one end and take it off the other end. It's fully automatic with some of these things. So you're sort of using robotics and lasers and stuff. Very expensive, but it has replaced about 5 or 6 people. As people have left and dwindled, it's very hard to find people here in Pitlochry. It's an enormous fucking problem. Not just for us, but for all the catering and hospitality as well. We're about 25% shortage of workers in Pitlochry.
It's an interesting segue.
And I think this is leading into one of the questions that you were coming. I'm preempting this here.
Of course it is. And if I didn't ask the question, there's a lot of people here
I
that would
saw
be
the chatter. I've seen some of the chatter there, and I knew it was coming. So,
Tim, Dornoch Whisky, can you talk about the stills, which is wash and which is spirit? I see descending line arms. And there are worm tubs. Thank you for coming on, Andrew.
Absolutely.
So the wash still is 3,000 litres.
It's roughly 3. It holds 3, so it's just capacity. So it's about 3 to 4 or something like that. Yeah. And the spirit one's it's about 1,500, so it'll be about 1,750. I think is the actual capacity. You use some space for expansion. When it boils. And worm tubs, yes, absolutely. Both have worm tubs. They're identical.
So straight out, descending line arms, straight out the wall into sunken worm tubs.
Into sunken worm tanks and into a boil ball as well, which is causing a lot of reflux
Yes.
on the spirit still side.
Yes.
And that's where it's falling back in and you're getting more of this oily, heavier spirit as well.
So where you've got this kind of triangular wash still shape and then this fat base, on the spirit still you've got the same on a smaller scale, but then this boil
outside
next to the
worm.
Outside.
Yeah, outside.
Okay.
It's a conical vessel, but it's
you showed me this. Yes, sorry, apologies.
It's tapered inwards.
Yes.
We didn't know it first until we actually had to take it out to replace the worm. That it's actually conical inside. So it's
that's not obvious from looking at it from the outside.
No.
Yes.
It's just so it's quite amazing to see inside it. But that reflux is giving a lot of the heavy funk.
Yes.
People get this oily funk.
That character that we're talking about.
Yes,
so when you built Edradour
I think Ben Nevis has something similar.
You not only replicated your Morton's refrigerator, stainless steel, but that same everything.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to do these
Mash
things.
tuns were done down to the bolts and rivets from 100 years ago. The pattern's replicated, so it looks like it was something from 80 years ago. For science, they've got some very clever, talented people there, in their various departments and stuff. They've replicated everything.
But these almost to a belligerent level to have that replication. It's not cheap to do this.
No, it's not cheap at all. But if you want it to look authentic and genuine, we've even got the old breathers on the stills. They're not real. They're not doing anything.
With the wee hats and
they were always there. So Versailles had some and stuck them on. It's now the pot seals. The seal pots. Where that are full of water. And if the still gets too much pressure, it pushes the water up and protects it. You know. But the breeders look authentic and look like they're doing a job. You know.
Because they would have been breeders in the
That
original
was
cells.
the
and that was
original.
before technology, monitoring systems, and all of that stuff.
The stills that we placed in #1 in 2019, they had genuine working breeders. You know, whether they worked or not, we didn't know, but we were lucky enough not to have them tested. But you had to take them off every 6 months and clean them out because they got sticky and stuck and all syrupy and gluey. That, you know, if you had an emergency before that they'd been at the silent season, I doubt the things would have worked anyway. So technology moved on.
So limited efficacy as well, even with maintenance in place. Change days.
Yeah.
I have to ask you now, though.
Tell me.
Because everything that we're talking about here, people want to come and see it.
I know.
Andrew, my frustration is that I've seen things here that I want to share and I want to show people. There were video clips that I could have taken and shared with everyone, but there's no way I'm going to do it because, look at this. This is amazing. I never understood this. This is incredible. Imagine, see this. But there was a time where that would have been valid. Maybe pre-pandemic, maybe pre-Brexit, maybe pre lots of dynamics in whiskey. But I didn't feel like it was appropriate to show any of that stuff because I have to be honest with you.
I give you open ticket to show what you wanted.
Yes.
I have no problem at all.
Yeah, that's right. But unfortunately,
we're now showing a lot more things ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got a new book out, but I call them knots and crosses, the things you scan. And,
the QR codes.
QR codes.
Yeah, that's right. So anybody, if the book is wonderful. The book is wonderful. The majority of the book is updated from an original Edradour book that I previously had. But the big reason to buy the book today is for those QR codes because it takes you to really high quality, very well produced video content with very candid takes and history and celebrations of the past, of Edradour and Signatory vintage and everything that revolves around that whole Andrew Symington ecosystem. But I'm enthused and I'm privileged to be here, and I feel it, and it's wonderful. But it's difficult because my enthusiasm always has to be checked a little bit because it's almost like me sitting here drinking an old Brora or Port Ellen on the vPub. You know, here's what you once upon a time could have, and you can't have it anymore. The truth is that the majority of people can't come here like we once could
at this moment in time. I mean, since the pandemic, there were several reasons, I suppose, but myself and my wife Annette, we ran it 7 days a week ourselves, in between bringing up two boys. I mean, she often had one under her arm when she was packing things in the till and handing things out. She's absolutely amazing. She multitasked like nobody I've ever seen in my life. And I think, when COVID came, we more or less got to burnout. We probably suffered burnout right about the same time. So the pandemic came and everything was shut. And, we were on our own up here. It's a very remote site.
Yeah.
And, apart from 5,000 sheep around the hills, around the farmer next door, you didn't see anybody for days. We still carried on working because we had no reason to stop,
Sure.
We had one stillman in each place, so they were self-isolating,
Yes.
Nothing changed. So it was, so we carried on bottling, doing orders and stuff. And when you went home at night and you turned the telly on and it said, there were 1,673 deaths today, and you saw the thing and you're like, where is this? It's not happening here. We had a great summer that year too.
That's right. An early summer. Very early summer, yes.
We sat outside most days.
Yes.
On the decking and had lunch. Not a
when there were coaches coming up, you wouldn't have been able to do such a thing, I guess.
No.
Okay, yeah.
So we began to realise that there was life after the visitor centre, and the boys, we felt really guilty because they grew up in the shop, Both Christopher and Andrew were, putting fudge in the shelves when they were 5, 6 years old.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Not that it did them any harm, but you missed out on a lot of things that normal families and normal life would have done. So we realised there was a lot more to life than just working and running a visitor centre. And then the other horrible thing was that, with Brexit, many of the people in Pitlochry went home in the pandemic, not realising that they wouldn't be able to come back after Brexit without a visa or having settled status. And if you'd gone away and not come back, it was very hard to get back in. So, we also ran our visitor centre with a lot of, Pitlochry has a lot of semi-retired people, professional people in their 50s, 60s, lawyers, doctors, whatever. And these were a lot of our seasonal guides, our summer guides. So they were very well educated people that gave really, really high quality, good tours.
Yeah.
And after the pandemic, these people disappeared. They did not want to, no longer wanted to take groups of people around distilleries. They didn't want to work. They realised that that life was short and precious, and that they were going off and then in cruises and holidays and things instead of working. And there's very few young people in Pitlochry that, because of the housing situation. Houses are so expensive that nobody could.
No European employment anymore.
The Europeans have disappeared. Also, we used to get a lot of, pre-pandemic, we were doing about 48,000 people a year. Charged for tours, but there were a lot of very good Swedish buses, Swiss, German, a lot of German cars. They would come and fill their cars up. We used to have a fleet of 5 sack trolleys that the guys would run down with 6 or 7 cases on, filling their boots up. All that stopped after Brexit. You can now only legally take 1 litre back. So the whole dynamic of the business changed. And to make it viable, I think we would now need to charge £25 or £30 for a tour. And I think once people have seen one distillery, they're very loath to pay again £30 to see another tour. So they say, well, we just want to come take a picture, or we just want to do this, or we just want to do that.
But all that viable for you.
All that has to be staffed and paid for.
Yeah.
And if you cannot find the staff to do whatever. So, I mean, our export business grew dramatically over the COVID years, and we've put all our time into bottling products like the 100 proofs and that, and bringing it to the market at very reasonable prices. But one of the side effects or things that has suffered to it has been the visitor centre. Will it change in the future? Yes, it may. We spoke ourselves today about maybe our Caledonia Hall. Doing some tastings there. That obviously people would pay to come to, but we would do it, on the basis that it was done for the Scottish Charity Air Ambulance, which we sponsor now. We started sponsoring last year. The bottling we didn't just in the bottling now this year we'll be sponsoring.
Well, since you've committed to me for something tonight, let me go on air and live tonight. If there was any way that myself or I could somehow represent my community to get involved in such a thing,
the idea is that we may well be able to start to bring back groups, of organised groups of people and enthusiasts as such, but it will not be on a daily basis or an annual basis. That just isn't possible. We don't have the staff, we don't have the resources now to do it, and we run a very tight ship here, very lean ship. Most of the guys that work for me, that we're only 14 in total, including me and my wife, have been with us. I think the shortest serving member of staff is about 4 years. So. Wow. And Jimmy Kennedy, 27 years he's been here.
Yeah, we walked up, Seve and I walked up and spoke to Jimmy today.
It was a pleasure.
And I was convinced he would remember me from 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I said, Jimmy, it's me, I was just here. And he's like, that was 3 or 4 weeks ago. But a really nice, gracious man. And things like that. Amazing that he's been here for 27 years here. I mean, I think that one of the things for me is that just the sheer facilities that you have here, the depth, the quality of the facilities and things. If you do find a way to remodel and refocus that going forward.
That was my hotel background and my ideas. I wanted to have quality. I think probably we had one of the best visitor centres at the time, probably back in 2010, 2012, 2014, 15,
I think arguably, if you combine it with the shop, the tour, the tasting bar, the extra facilities that you have, I think I would have to agree with that. It's quite phenomenal for such a small and humble.
In some ways, so, it has helped support the town now, because the 2 shops in the town, the Drinkmonger and Robertson's, have benefited tremendously from us being closed.
Well, I want to go further than Pitlochry in the town, because you've had the ability to relax a little bit from the hospitality side. The coaches drawn up, okay, lots and lots of cars coming over that would be interested in filling up their boots and things like that. Maybe they're not there anymore.
No.
But you've had the ability to focus then on a model that could spread your product much further afield. Yeah. So in a kind of roundabout, not unintentional way, you're now servicing Edradour, Balakin, Signatory Vintage and all the variety that comes with that much further afield.
Yes.
Because you've been focusing on a bigger strategy than the kind of people coming to you.
Yes.
And I think that has maybe served you pretty well over the years. And it might
I
be,
think it is still. Yeah.
it might need to be some kind of inspiration in order to change the focus back into a more hospitality thing again. That said, the hospitality I have experienced here and Seve's experienced here has been exemplary. So if there is a possibility for that for the future, that would be fantastic. I think
you see the samples that lying here. There's maybe a couple of 100 samples here. These are all casks that we have up in these warehouses. So I bring them here just because we want to check the strength, we want to check the quality.
I've already confessed that there are things I don't want to show the people.
I don't care if you can show.
I know you don't.
But
I just it's like here's some more things.
There's some things you'll never find or see again. That's for sure.
That's right.
And some amazing things.
I was going to pick you a dram. I've actually gone round.
I have the dram to pick though. I have the. We move on to the next thing. I think that to celebrate the 200 years of Edradour is actually, for me, nice to look back on the history and how it got here and how it survived. A lot of challenges over its near 200 years, right? I think that there has been certain things that's happened over the years that somehow helped this wee distillery here endure, despite the odds.
Yeah, I think it's in a better place now. I hope it's in a better place now than it was when I found it.
I think it's plain for all to see or all to taste.
I will be handing it on to the next generation, hopefully, and they will continue. And
that's the custodian guardian.
That's the custodian guardian thing coming out again. Yeah, it's not all me. I'm just merely a custodian.
Whiskey demands a moment in time, Andrew.
A moment in time.
But the job is the sentience that this site has, the vibrance that it has, you just walk through the bottling hall and the packaging hall,
the magic,
the warehouses, there's a buzz, everything's happening, and there's
a certain magic. Yeah.
So all the bottles that you hold in your hands, wherever you pick up those bottles, whether it's Edradour Balakin, whether it's a Signatory vintage, it's come from this little beating heart, and it's quite amazing to see. Your guardianship role has been something that we can't, it's hard to overstate it. You didn't bring it back to life like Whiteley did, okay, pre-war, right?
No.
But you brought it back from the brink of being easily ignored to being something that nobody should be ignoring today. Your 10-year-old, I just need to put this into perspective. Took a while for you to get it all natural, but it's there now. It's not chill filtered anymore. It is 100% matured in Oloroso sherry casks.
Yeah, first and second fills.
Age statement, all natural, 45 quid. In 2025, I put it to you out there, that product is peerless. There is nothing else in existence like it on the market at the scale it's at. That in itself is something to be worthy of a 200-year anniversary celebration, I think. These are all the 25s, and the amazing things from the past is amazing, but the fact that everybody can participate in it, it's just
purposely
fabulous.
Products out there that we're not going to be just bottle collectors or wallpaper standing up on somebody's shelf forevermore and not being drunk. We wanted to make sure there was stuff out there to drink and enjoy.
Well, I thank you for it. I really do. Before I get on to talking about Andrew Symington, the whiskey geek, Andrew Symington, the whiskey drinker, who still has a smile on his face, sipping a 6-year-old lead chick today, grinning, right?
Yes,
just pleased, right? That's fascinating to me that you're 40 years in now and you still get that buzz, you still get that feeling. But your ability to...
The biggest buzz was being able to buy it itself, to actually get it.
Change days, right?
To get 140 bourbon barrels.
Yeah, 140 bourbon barrels.
Absolutely, yeah.
Seve and I were amongst the first to be able to sip the stuff right off the back of the lorry. It was a privilege. We look forward to picking it up as part of the 100 proof.
It probably will be. We'll probably do it in March when it's 6 years old. So
brilliant. Yeah. We're ready for it. It's already.
Get one in the back of the poster.
We get a full cask.
There's an awful lot of stuff going to come out next year. Things that it's not all going to be sherry. There's a lot of stuff I've put into different wine casks. There's some Calila in Chardonnay casks that's amazing, absolutely amazing.
I can't wait. Yeah. I'm going to get a wee bit sentimental for a minute.
They're all coming up. I like to keep things in casks, a minimum of 2, but normally 3 years, before it's ready to be, a finish. Any less than that is not really a finish.
So what you're talking about actually with finishing is secondary maturation.
It's almost secondary maturation, I would say as well. But there's things coming up, that I did 3 years ago now that are coming on stream next year that are really interesting and really good. You're going to see a lot of really good stuff, and it's going to be really priced
fairly.
Very fairly, yes.
Before I get sentimental, Sugar Kitty's celebrating being a barfly for 31 months, saying what news of Cooper? Oh, cat.
Cooper the cat, yes. Cooper the cat is fine. In fact, you
was
saw
that
today?
Cooper today?
That was Cooper today.
Well, we saw a very hungry Cooper today.
He was almost coming in the tasting bar
The
there.
bluey silver cat, right?
Yes, he's a Russian blue.
Yeah, handsome as you like, Sugar Kitty. He's in fine fettle. He's probably less hungry than he was when I saw him earlier.
Yeah.
Right now. He's just about to get fed. Fantastic.
He's a lazy bugger. He spends most of the time in the old shop where Annette does all the meal orders.
Yeah.
It's underfloor heating there, so he follows it, from getting out of his hutch, getting fed his breakfast. He follows her like a dog into the shop and lies on the tiles and underfloor heating, just
supervising. Come on, that's what he's doing.
Occasionally he goes out and grabs a mouse and brings it home. Brings it in to show you, much to Annette's disgust.
Yeah. I've got 2 cats as well.
And sometimes he will not get out the tasting bar if it's a cold day outside. He just stays there. Yeah. He knows how to get up the back of one of the displays, into the eaves. And he'll just run up there.
Just hide there.
Yeah, and he'll stay there. Sometimes she forgets it, puts the bloody alarm on it. At 10 o'clock at night, the bloody alarm was on. It's the cat's.
He's trying to get out.
Yeah, nightmare.
Amazing. Thanks for asking after.
His sister, Charlie, which most people don't see, she's very shy, but she's the real mouse catcher. She's the one that keeps the mice away.
Yeah.
She works hard. He's a big lazy.
So while Cooper sleeps,
a big lazy bugger. Yeah.
Charlie is the sister. Did you say?
Is the sister? Yeah.
Jeff Whisky is saying 46% Edradour slaps. That's the biggest compliment that a particular whiskey tuber can pay. Fantastic, Jeff. Nice to see you. And cheers for convincing me, Roy. Jeff, there's more convincing to be done. Where that comes from, buddy, it's nice to have you in. Fraser Maids gets Gordon celebrating being a member for 46 months. Dibs on the first wave of barfly tours. By special arrangement, I would have to suggest, Gordon. Never say never. Let's not ask Andrew to commit to too much to tonight. Falsgraf, class, good to see you, big guy. Coming in from Germany, saying today I saw movement on the customs union front. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Back to the days of sanity, please. Graham Fraser is saying, that's the famous Graham Fraser, celebrating being a member for 68 months. 68 months, Graham, thank you. Glad I was lucky enough to visit in the old
somebody
days.
asked you there, we still sell Cask to Van Wies for the Ultimate Collection. They haven't bought as much recently because the 100 proof is actually much cheaper than the Ultimate Cask, because the Ultimate Cask are mainly singles, so more expensive to bottle, longer process, more expensive labels, etc. But they have got a list of casks, and they will be choosing some for bottling in January, February. So they'll be back next year.
So there you go. So that's Germany, Benelux, that kind of thing.
That's Holland,
yeah. Holland,
long-standing. One of our longest importers, along with Christoph Kirsch, his father Dieter Kirsch, Thierry Benetta, his father Georges Benetta. I dealt with them first. And now Maurice Van Wies, his father Han Van Wies was who I first dealt with. So I dealt with their fathers long before they all came into business. The second generation.
And now that second generation in the future will
the same in Italy as well. The Garganos, it was Gianluca Senior that we dealt with, and now it's Luca Gargano and his brother Paolo. So we've been together, all these companies, almost for 40 years.
Fantastic, fantastic. Glenn Duncan is saying, this has been one of my favourite vPubs. Thank you, Andrew and Roy, for bringing this to the far side of the world. Edradour, love. Thank you, Glenn. Dave Barnes is celebrating being a member for 42 months. Thank you for your support, Dave. And Benny Fries, that's my pal Benny from, well, you're in Denmark, aren't you, Benny? Saying, could you please enter a section of no interest to us? I need a toilet break, but I can't get myself to go. Translated, what a guy, Andrew. Such a source of information. Just keeps dropping info. Take a toilet break. Be comfortable, Benny, and pick up what you miss on the replay. Ted Brooks has been super generous and sent 20 Aquavitae memberships out to 20 random barflies watching tonight. Ted Brooks, thank you for your generosity. You're a superstar. The longer it goes on, the more I start to remember. well, in that case, how long have you got? Shall we just stay here? Listen, I want to talk about how you're able to, through the product, you talked about not blowing your own trumpet and let the product do the whiskey do the talking and things like that. You're able to affect not just moments through glasses and things, but entire trajectories of exploration. There's an argument that there have been bottlings from you over the years that have made me stop and stare so profoundly that it's completely changed decisions I make in my life and how I perceive whiskey generally. I'm going to talk about a Wednesday night once upon a time back in 2015, 2016. 2016, I think, would be more accurate. My pal, the Whiskey Rev Graham, I know you tune in from time to time, buddy, up there on Speyside, but you brought round a Signatory vintage Cask Strength one night and you poured it quietly and continued to chat to Roberto in the corner. And I took one sip from that glass and immediately went online and bought the only bottle I could find. It was £89 at the time. We've gone on to buy bottles upon bottles upon bottles. To admit how many bottles of that particular whiskey we've bought over the years would be almost shameful to admit. But here is the bottle I've been saving for you and I to open together, Graham. But tonight it's come home. And I know, not for a second will you be frustrated or annoyed that I'm going to bring this and open it with Andrew. Anybody that's watching this channel for long enough, you might remember the top 5 videos that I did way back in 2017, and this bottle featured. This is, of course, I have to hold this up without dropping it. Please don't drop it, Roy. This is the famous 1995 Klein Leash Seve. This is Cask 8687, 53.6% ABV. And it's getting opened. Wow. Now, there is a story that I bought so many of these, and I bought one in particular. I was so frustrated because I was excited to be opening another one that I'd purchased, and it tasted no right. Sure, that's the polite way to put it. And I brought it up here, and the lady on the counter in the shop, wait, is this mic tonight? Suggested, or that she wasn't sure how to deal with it because she said it was corked. That's fresh, that's good. Super. We're in good shape with this one. And Andrew just happened to appear in the shop at that point, asked what was going on. He immediately picked it up. What's that? You would like a mug full of this? Right. Sorry. And immediately said, this is corked, took the bottle off me and said, pick anything you want to replace it from the shelves. And I said, but I bought this from Roma Whiskies or wherever it was. And you said, I don't care, just...
Yeah. It was corked. I could tell it was corked.
Yeah. Amazing. Just absolutely amazing.
Having knowledge I have no wine, I can smell cork taint, which is trichloroanisole. It's a disease of the tree.
I've poured mine first. How rude. Seve, bring a glass, please.
Oh, thank you.
You can smell it from 50 paces, or I can smell it from 50 paces. You know,
yeah.
And it really does.
Vegetal, rotten turnips and potatoes.
Terrible.
And, yep.
Awful.
Graham, now that this is open, at least you'll get to taste it rather than just look at it on the cabinet, right? Seve and I might have worked out a way to still have a backup, right? So this is the whiskey that really transformed so many things for me. I'm always grateful to Graham for buying it and bringing it around the tune.
In fact, we just bottled, was it 8684? I think. Was
that the 30-year-old?
Yeah, they were just bottled a few weeks back there. Yeah, that's the one I was drinking at the Oswas, or the control sample.
Because you knew.
Have you got that there, Seve? The 30-year-old?
Yes, sir.
What number was it?
8675.
8675. So that's, yeah, what?
867.
So it's 2 casks away. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the 30 years on.
8687, 8675.
It's a few casks away.
12 casks away, yeah. Sister cask. I mean, this was bottled in March 2016, so the story I referred to is 2016.
Probably the same date of distillation, I would think.
So let's talk about me drinking this probably a year before I did any videos out there on YouTube. This is one of the ones that motivated me to do such a thing. Wow. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Wow. I mean, at one point, we had something like 60 butts of this stuff. 60 butts of this stuff. It's unheard of nowadays.
Seve.
This is unreal. It's every flavor, try it.
It's beautiful.
it manages to do that wonderful thing of bringing a wee bit of the countryside into the Clynelish thing, wee bit of refill, but there's an effervescence here, a fizz, just a beautiful
freshness.
Oh, just it's open, Graham. There's a wee dram.
The wax. Let's do it as well.
Yeah.
Where's that coffee mug?
Seve's looking for the mug to pour a big glass.
And to be honest, we're very, very fortunate here that we have such a, multitude and wealth of casks like this. I mean,
well, that's why I opened.
You could spend a week going around this. You can't actually show it, but you can see all these samples here, and mostly in the 30. I mean, Seve's got his own table across there with 50-year-old Glenvores and God knows all what on there.
I predict that I am heading home on my own tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to be able to crowbar Seve out of this place.
There's some amazing Glenburgies, 95 Glenburgies. There's 79 Kalila there, 83 Kalila, 90 Bowmore, 71 Bowmore, 70 Bowmore. The list is endless of just dynamic, amazing drams that, I have the privilege to be able to sit. I can come here any night I want, any afternoon I want. A Saturday afternoon, you feel depressed.
I know, but Andrew, it's better.
Your football team's being beat,
That's right.
You can come up here and say,
yes,
you know
that
what?
happened. Yes.
Look at the football.
Yeah.
This is
well, let's be honest. It's better if you have some company.
It is.
I'm only an hour and a half away. If you're lonely, seriously. Thank you so much. I want to ask you a wee bit about Signatory now.
Sure.
You gave a throwaway quip on the Oswas a few weeks back, and it generated a lot of discussion in the community in general. And people coming back to me, it's bloody good, isn't it?
That's good, yeah.
And you said I've got 38,000 casks now, and I guess that's because you have systems in place to track your casks.
Nearer 39 now, to be honest. Yeah.
Nearer 39.
Almost at 39. We've done a couple of deals in this last month.
Well, 130 turned up.
Well, 130 turned
today,
up today.
this very
right.
day.
Yeah.
This is, it's not going away. There was a lot of discussion about, 25,000 of that will be Edradour and Balakan, right? And I asked you when I was here a few weeks ago when we were talking about setting this thing up, I said, can I ask you, would it be rude to ask what proportion of that is? And you answered, you told me.
About 9,000 are Edradour and Balakan.
So produced on site is about 9,000 casks.
Yeah.
So again, we think about this 2 distilleries, ability to go up to 500,000 over 2 sites. Think a bigger distillery, but wait a minute. So it's 2002 you've been producing, and your total stock is 9,000. It's not insignificant.
No, when we took over, we inherited 4,880 casks, which was the entire stock from Chivas Brothers.
So arguably you've only grown it by close to 5,000.
Because we bottled so many. We were bottling much more than we should have been. We should have been laying it down more. And that was part of the reason that inspired Distillery number 2.
Now you've changed it a wee bit.
Yeah.
But that still means that, and I'm not very good at maths, but it sounds like 30,000 casks of mixed everything from all over. And I think you have very little outside of Scotland, right? It's all Scotch.
Yes, all Scotch, yeah. There's some grain in there. There's about 4,000 odd grain casks in there as well, of varying ages from 4 years old up to the oldest grain we have is a 1959 North British grain. 59, 60, 61, and 63 North British grain. So
there is no reason to be. Yes, Seve.
Sorry, Andrew Junior's joined us. So
Andrew, of course. I don't know if you missed. So Andrew Junior's in the scene now. Don't worry, we'll bully him to get involved a wee bit later for the quiz. We're pouring a wee Clynelish for Andrew as well, in the hope that
he's got quite into drinking my expensive whiskies as well.
Well, tonight, Andrew, it's not your dad's expensive whiskies, it's my expensive whiskey.
Well, that's true.
You're welcome to it. Cheers, fella. Cheers.
Cheers.
So there's this, idea that if Andrew focuses on Edradour 1 and Edradour 2, that'll become the focus. And yet, if we were to take it from the punter's perspective, that has not happened. And now that we understand the picture behind the curtain is that 30,000 of those 39,000 casks are destined for Signatory output.
For many, many years, I was never motivated by money. So everything went back into whiskey. every penny I could went back into a cask of whiskey. Until probably around pandemic times, you realise, crikey, I've got all this bloody whiskey. What the hell am I going to do with it all? And we've been through a couple of crises over. One thing I didn't add in the pandemic was that we even thought about selling up and moving on. And just because life had changed, we realised there was life after Edradour, after the visitor centre, and we were made an offer by one of the multinational companies for an enormous amount of money. And what actually scuppered the deal was I would have had to stay on for 5 years, and I began to realise as D-Day got nearer, and there was this, they badgered us just before COVID, they badgered us during COVID. I said, we're not for sale, I'm not interested. And then they said, well, here's what we would give you, And when you see a sum there with, how would I put it, 9 digits,
Wow.
sitting there, you think, crikey, you know what, you've got my attention, Only because it was a weak time and we didn't really know where we were going after COVID, But as it got nearer and I began to see that people were coming in and around, and that, you have to, everything will go through the marketing department in New York. And I'm careful what I say here because I'll give it away.
Because there would have been an element of
Yes.
the agreement that you'd have had to stay on for a certain
Well, I was
amount
going
of
to be the
years.
figurehead,
Okay,
but not
not the owner anymore.
Not the owner anymore. I mean, I kept 10%, possibly to hand on to the boys at a future date. I mean, they've done that in a number of places, And I just realised that I was not going to sit in Teams meetings for half the fucking week, talking to marketing people to fucking say, can I buy a case, please? I need some outer cases to put the bottles in. No, that has to go through whatever. Fuck that. I just pick up the phone to my supplier and say, I need 10,000 cases for fucking next week. Can you get them to me? And that, I thought, I can't work this way. It's not, I'd had a boss here, and I realized very, very quickly that wasn't going to work, But the funny thing was, a week before the deal, they had one of their guys, their advisors, who came on to me and said, we have to come up with a plan how to sell half the stock in the first 6 months, to liquidate half the stock in the first 6 months. And I thought, why? I said, I spent my entire life, 35 years, building this stock of whiskey, which is, the only one that maybe even comes close is Gordon and MacPhail.
Yeah.
And you want to sell half of it for fucking cash in 6 months. I couldn't get my head around that. I said that the simplest plan is, I said, don't buy it. I'll keep half. Just buy half. But then, but then you'd be in competition with us and whatever. And it became obvious that this wasn't going to go anywhere or work. So we agreed to differ and to slip back into our old position. And but by then, of course, despite how many non-disclosure agreements you sign, some bastard knows somewhere and spills the beans, So every man and his dog then came knocking at the door. Oh, we heard you for sale. We heard, can we see what's under the bonnet? And the end of the day, most of them didn't have the money. So then we realised that we have all this stock, and as the cost of living crisis kicked in, and you realise that the £150 bottles weren't selling anymore, that they suddenly stopped selling, and you have millions of them. What are you going to do with it all? It's on a time frame because it's not standing still. You go, well, I'll come back to it in 20 years' time. It'll be fine. So then we realise that we probably we've got this chalice around our neck. It's not stock. 2.5, 3 years. Stock was king.
Yes,
stock was absolutely king. We were king of the fucking castle because we had this 38,000 casks of a tremendous, spread of distilleries, closed distilleries, Isleys, unbelievable. 33-year-old sherry cask Ardbegs, it's still there. 71, 70 Bowmores, all this stuff there, wonderful. But now you couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted it. Fuck, yeah. So then that's where the 100 proof came out of, that we are too expensive as well. People don't want this stuff anymore. People want value for money. There's a cost of living crisis. The electricity's through the roof, petrol's through the roof, everything's through the roof.
People want good quality.
People want quality, and it must be value for money. So that's where the value for money range kicked in. That's where the 100 proof was born. I had the idea of doing it back in 2018, but I didn't get to do it because of other factors. Other people, but now when I took control again myself completely, I'm free to do whatever I want, when I want, and how I want, and I don't give a monkey's what anybody thinks. I just do it.
I think he's whispering now. I think he just said he doesn't give a monkey's. But I think what's amazing, what comes through, if I read between the lines of what you're saying, you have the ability to play the long game.
Yeah.
Whereas there are too many decisions in life now, not just in the whiskey industry, but if we speak about, we're in the vPub right here, we were talking about whiskey here. In the whiskey industry, there are too many short-term decisions taken that are detrimental to the long-term health of whiskey. What you have talked about for as many discussions I've had with you now is that everything seems to be for the long-term thing.
Yeah.
And you're now very much of the mind for Andrew Jr. and Christopher, the next generation, just that idea of guardianship, of custodianship.
They seem to want to take it on and
passing it on.
Andrew's worked with me for 4 years now. He doesn't want to go and study. He just wants to work and learn. He's doing okay. He's doing a good job. And Christopher's coming behind him. Andrew's 21, Christopher's 15, so he's got a little bit to go. We're struggling to try and get him to get through his A levels or O levels, or whatever they're called nowadays.
Yes.
He said, I don't want to do it. He says, it's a waste of time.
He knows his destiny. I have to say,
I prefer he did do it, but
I've spent a bit of time with Christopher. I'm about to spend a bit more time, but I'm about to bully him into having a quiz about his distillery with Andrew. But I can already sense that there's a nice. This is not typical, Andrew, these days.
Yeah.
And the idea of corporate ownership, of short tenures, as I've already mentioned, of short-term decision-making. I think I told you, I shared something with you that recently I had to change the way I was funded.
Yeah,
and it was huge, and I want to thank everyone that's made that migration and supported me into the new things. And there was an arrogant term that we used. We called it guardians, the Aquavitae guardians. If you signed up to support me there, everything was going to be much cleaner and easier, and that's very, very positive. It looks like that's going to be the case. And I told everyone why I called it guardians, because I was having a candid discussion with someone in the weeks leading up to that exercise, that project, and we talked about how we wanted to leave whiskey in a better condition than when we found it. Andrew, the reason that I called it that is because of that discussion I had with you. And I think if more people in life, not just in whiskey, thought about things like that, we would all have nicer things.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting now because now the market is opening up for buying casks again. I've been approached by a number of people over this last couple of months.
For you to buy?
Yes, absolutely. And we've gone, from we're not selling for sure. That's absolutely, we're going nowhere. I have no intention of retiring, as I've heard. I'm retiring. I did have a little health scare. Yes, I did. I had a stent inserted 18 months ago. But apart from ever since then, it's all been fine. There's been no problems.
Feeling good.
Since. Feeling good.
Looking
feeling
good.
Great. Absolutely running over the pack still. So we'll continue to do so. And now we're going to buy, because the buying time is back. There are value there are great value whiskies out there, and we have a ton of cash to spend, and we're going to spend it. Yeah. We're buying more whiskey. We'll need to build more warehouses. But
the critical mass has been breached.
You're
in control of your own destiny.
Absolutely. And there's some good stuff on the market that wasn't available for the last 10 years. And I want to buy as much as I can. Yeah.
We're here to buy it off.
Anyone only has to look at our balance sheet to see what fighting funds we have.
I think everyone that's still watching tonight, thank you for so many of you tuning in tonight. And thank you for everyone that's picking this up on the replay as well. I feel very comfortable right now. I feel like I could sit and chat to you for much, much, much longer. But I do get a sense that you're reconnecting with the wider community
Yes.
and how much it's affecting people again.
You know, I've met people now that I didn't know existed, you know,
Yes.
or I've seen stuff. You know, I don't spend a lot of time on social media or whatever you call it.
It's clear.
Yeah, you know, so because I don't have a lot of time for doing that, because I'm busy doing, you know, it's a lot to manage an inventory of 39,000 casks. You know, thankfully we have a new ERP system installed by Kirsch, our chairman importer, that lets me have instant access even from. I have a laptop and a VPN in the kitchen.
You can
where I
see.
can get up at 4. If I can't sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning, I can get into it and start to say, we've got all these there. Yeah, I need to move them. I need to get them into another cask because that will be ready in 3 years' time from that. You know, it's a forward, ongoing game. You know. And I don't write it down, you know. So I make little marks against it. Now, what the hell did I mark that for? And eventually it comes back. Oh Christ, yeah, I was doing that. Yeah. We've got to get back onto that.
Annette shared a little secret that up until that system was in place, your stock control system was up here.
Yes, a lot of it was. I'm very fortunate. I almost have like a photographic memory. You know, I can
Visualize.
I can visualize, and a lot. You know. When we were first stocking these warehouses, I was putting the casks there. So of course I knew where they were. I'd put the fucking thing there. You know, so you know, what pissed me off was when somebody moved it to get something else and never put it back and never said anything.
Somebody's interfered.
Yeah.
There's a wee drama in from my pal in San Francisco, Rick Johnson, saying Christmas is 2 weeks from today. How did that happen?
I asked the question
Rick,
too,
fair play to you, sir.
Yeah,
and thank you for the drama. It is 2 weeks. Thank you for giving me a wee pang of anxiety there. Cheers, Rick.
This is absolutely super.
It really, really is. And I was so relieved that it stayed fresh, and it's getting on a decade in the bottle now, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Whisky Weekend Drum Harris saying thanks for this great live on location. Viti, going to bed now. One more day of working. Good for you. Well, holidays when it comes, Harrow. I hope you enjoy it, buddy. You deserve it. Neck pour. The neck pour. I'm trying to remember who you are, my friend. Genuinely one of the best vPubs I can remember. What a fascinating chat. I suspect that there's a lot more if we had the time. We would be happy to sit here.
We'll do it again sometime.
Brilliant.
If you'll have me back.
There's another commitment. Take it. Jimmy Legg, it sounds like Andrew needs an assistant with a love of whiskey and organisation. That's me. Jimmy Legg's in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
So
cool.
that's a wee bit far away. But
Yeah.
Agraviti Symington, Merry Christmas to you and your family. Respect. Thank you so much, Falsgraf.
Thank you.
I thought, was Falsgraf not one of the guys that was going to be bed early? Maybe not, class. I look forward to seeing you the next time. That's Falsgraf is the man in the hat. Great guy. I see him when we visit Germany from time to time. Andrew, with the greatest of respect and permission, I would like to do what we do in the vPub and always close out with a wee quiz at the end.
Sure. Yeah.
I see that Annette is not, so we might not be able to bully Annette to coming in, but we may be able to bully in
Mr. Junior to come and join us for
Seve the Whiskey Alchemist and Andrew Jr. Come in, boys.
Bring your
Come
glass
in.
with you. Oh, your whiskey glass.
Ha. I know that Seve's nervous because this is an Edradour quiz. Come and have a seat. Nice to see you, Andrew. Nice to see you, buddy.
I'll divvy up the cards if you want.
Yes, they're here. I think they're already divvied up. So everyone that's watching knows the drill, but for your benefit, we always close out with a quiz at the end. These quizzes are horrible, okay? But they're intended to be for whiskey geeks. So they're intended to be a wee bit challenging, a wee bit tricky. Watch out for the banana skins. But if there's an ass hat emoji, that's a question that's deliberately intended to be horrible, just awkward. Sometimes you need to know the answer to two things in order to get it right.
Andrew Junior's just going,
why am I here? Why am I here?
Just
Here's a wee set of ABC
banana skins
cards.
and ass hats.
ABC. Andrew,
I see
ABC.
somebody
And the reason I'm handing you out cards is I don't want anyone blurting out the answers, because these
I
guys.
see somebody here saying that the secret Orkney 14-year-old is the best HP he's ever tasted. There's a lot more to come, trust me.
And none of it's Scapa.
I never said that, did I?
Okay, long time viewer. Whiskey, Winnie Hepton, that's the
Yeah,
first
that is
time I've given you a wee shout. Winnie Hepton 123's bought me a dram. Thank you very much, Winnie. Swinny Hepton.
There'll be
I do
more
apologise.
HPs coming out in the new year, lots of them.
Long time viewer, but usually online the replay, so a privilege to be watching two legends discuss today's Whisky Hot Topics live.
And there's
Andrew,
some HP and interesting casks coming as well from the mid-June onwards.
it's right up the
yeah,
street of
yeah.
Swinney-Hepton here. The Secret Orkney 14-year-old is the best HP I've ever tasted. Thank you. Thank you for the dram, Swinney. Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you. Cheers. The reason I've given you cards is that I'll give you a wee countdown, 3, 2, 1, and you just hold up what the answer is. Don't blurt it out in advance, and try not to follow your dad's giggles because he knows all the answers or whatever like that, right?
I won't be too sure about that. We'll see.
But because the people at home are playing along live with this, and you'll see that we go from 300 down to about 225 or something. Not everyone likes a quiz. But if I didn't end the vPub without a quiz at the end, there'd be
mutiny.
Mutiny, right? Rage. So that with that, everyone knows what the theme is going to be. Can people see you, Sev? Let me scoot you a wee bit, Andrew, just a wee bit.
Sorry.
No, they want to. We want to
I
see.
just see one question there, Roy. Somebody's asking
You're
ask
better at
Andrew
this than me.
if there's a chance of more orange wine cask Ballechin. At the moment, no, but there will be an orange wine cask Edradour coming out next year.
An orange wine? That must be illegal. That's allowed.
It's a Vina de Naranja. It's a genuine wine. It's not made of oranges.
It's just the name
it's
of
a
it.
style of grape. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And it's made, or one of the famous places it's made is in Huelva.
Huelva province, fantastic.
Part of the Spanish Sherry Triangle, and that's where Miguel Martin has a cooperage there. So he was providing casks for to one of the wineries there. So we got quite a lot of the orange wine casks.
So no immediate peated, but some Edradour.
There'll be Edradour unpeated coming out in June next year.
I'd like to back up my friend Andrew Pierce, who's saying, Aquavita, can we please have more ex-bourbon casks in the 100 proof range? I think it's much easier to sell the sherry cask stuff maybe and more demand
It
for it.
is, yes, but some of the bourbons like the Glenord, is legendary. There's a couple others. I've got more of the Ardmore peated as well.
Sorry, the Ardmore was a cracker too.
There's another 50 casks of that, so there's definitely another one of those.
At this time of year, I love the sherry stuff. Thank you.
I'd just like to say as well, Jimmy Legg with the Seve is a genius no matter what happens here. I think we should highlight that as well.
Regardless of the score,
Regardless
on record, you are a genius. Yes, no problem.
Jimmy.
We are all geniuses. I don't know if that's the plural of genius, but fantastic.
Well done, Seve.
Billy Bennett's bought me a wee dram. Billy, can we all raise a wee glass for Billy Bennett, who today, this very, very night, is celebrating his 50th birthday.
Yeah, good luck, well done. Yeah.
Many happy returns.
Many happy returns.
To your health, Billy. Well done. And while we're at it, have you drained it?
Oh, this is just nectar.
Andrew, you need a wee bit more?
Yeah, I'll take a top up.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it's here for. That's what it's here for.
So Andrew Jr. when he
I'm only pouring wee drops. You can have as much as you like. You need a bit more, Andrew?
Just a wee touch. Yeah,
when I brought that over to Andrew Jr., he was like, "Oh, it's kindly." He was like, "Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one."
It's a good one. I would like to raise another wee glass for the superstar personal friend of ours, who's also celebrating his 50th this week, Max Kreitner in Austria.
Oh, Max.
Many happy returns, Maxie. I hope you're catching this.
happy returns.
Cheers. Cheers, fella.
Cheers.
Many happy returns. Right, now we can get on with it. And in order for you to see, can you see this screen over this side, Andrew? Okay, I hope that you can. Because I'll bring up our quiz at the end. It's always multiple choice. I'm going to let you guys answer away as much as you like. You can answer if you want. And then I'll give everyone a countdown. And after 3, 2, 1, we'll all hold up our things. I've got my, I'm playing along. I know the answers. I'd be guaranteed a 10 out of 10 tonight, but it's for these guys tonight. It is themed specifically on Edradour.
Well, that's the wrong way round.
Maybe a touch of Signatory vintage in the mix as well, if you'll permit. Good luck, everyone. Remember, you only need to share your score if you want to. You can follow the crowd if you need a wee bit of support or help. That's always absolutely allowed and welcome. Look out for the banana skins and the ass hats. Remember, it's only you playing against yourself. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, folk.
Good luck.
Strap in, strap in. Annette's sitting at home, comfy, going, hee, hee, hee.
She'll be watching that.
She knew that
she's watching
we were going to try and bully her into it.
She's watching it on her phone, I bet.
We should have done a roving reporter and gone and got her.
Falscraft Class is saying, I really enjoyed the bourbon decanter tonight. So I wonder what one he's sipping there, Klaus. Fantastic, buddy, fantastic. Okay, question 1. Which of these brands has a strong connection to Edradour Distillery? I'm going to give you the choice of 3 brands, and you have to come up with a brand that's got a strong connection. Sevy's already got panic in his face. Is it A, Ballechin Peated Malt? Is it B, the House of Lords Blended Scotch? Or is it C, King's Ransom Blended Scotch? Which of these brands has a strong connection with Edradour Distillery? Hold your cards close to your chest, my friend, please. Right, there's about a 10-second delay. You can see they're all starting to answer now. Yeah. Daisy Vleeland is in. Good to see you, Daisy, from Holland. No, maybe it's not Holland. From the Netherlands. Yes. Daisy.
Daisy?
Yeah. What? Yes. Sorry, Daisy. Daisy.
Yes, Holland.
Yeah. Dancing Midgey's in. Good to see you, Glenn. How you keeping? Kids, of course, that's Paul. He's in. Good to see you. And Ben, Whisky with Molly's in. You were working tonight, Ben, but you're back for work now. It's wonderful to see you. Hey, Whisky with Molly saying A and C. Whereas Dave the Brave is in, saying A, B, and C. I'm going to give you guys a countdown to hold up your cards. Hold your water.
Sorry.
Hold your water. Come on. 3, 2, 1.
I'm going this.
Full house. We're not doing an on-location vPub in the danger of anyone going home with a donut. Nobody's getting a donut, right? It's A, B, and C. Ballechin has obviously been brought back to life since about 2007, 2004.
Ballechin was 2000. We made the first stuff in 2003.
Started making it in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's part of the furniture now. It's
become part of the furniture. I see somebody was enjoying the 18-year-old. They said they just opened it and they say it's under the radar, but it's absolutely brilliant. So,
Aye.
It is.
It's also a massive help that 2 of them are in the cabinet right over your shoulder.
Sevy's on location cheating. Nice work. That's part of your job, observation, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. So nobody's going home with nothing tonight. It's a freebie for everyone. Question 2. In 2005, which currently operational distillery became Scotland's other smallest distillery? Another distillery in 2005 came along at such a small scale that it challenged Edradour for being the smallest at that particular time. Are we talking about A, Glengyle in Campbelltown? Are we talking about B, Kilchoman on Islay? Or C, Avenjarrick on the island of Lewis? 2005 is the thing you need to focus on here.
I'm a wee bit worried that the answer that I thought isn't there.
You're struggling with this one, Andrew, right?
Right,
yeah, follow your head.
I'm going for this.
You locked in?
Only because the one that I thought it was isn't there.
Okay. Okay. What did Daffnell? 2005, right, Daffnell. Yeah, exactly. But it's not in. It's not in. And it didn't have a visitor centre. Okay, but anyway.
Right.
Everyone in the this is splitting the crowd a wee bit. We've got B's and C's going here. It is. Follow crowd, says Sharmila. Sue's going with C. Gino's going for C. Whereas Felix, C, Scotch Felix, that's a nice name, a nice new name to welcome in. Going for B. Ted Brooks is going for Blee. That's the B. Okay, a wee bit worried. Okay, we might have a wobble here.
Currently operational distillery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. A wee bit worried. No, sorry. Okay.
All right. Okay, 2005 is the thing here. And 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I'm a wee bit worried. I think I've got this wrong.
Avenjarrick is, we think a wee bit dubbed up right now, but it was founded in 2008. So the Symingtons are in with 2 out for 2.
I think actually when I spoke to Anthony, he bragged that his were a bit bigger than mine.
So you remained the smallest.
And that was his stills he was talking about.
Oh. I thought you were talking about visitor numbers there or something. Fantastic. Anthony was on the vPub during COVID, actually.
Okay.
A while ago now.
I was going to say, is Avenjarrick still operational? That was the other thing.
We don't know.
Somebody says no, it's not.
We think it might be dubbed up, but it was Marco Taburn. And if anybody knows if he's still even part-time producing.
I met him once here. He came here to see us one time, but I haven't heard for a long, long time.
Yeah. I've got the 10-year-old cask strength Madeira cask, which is a tasty drop. I think they suffered from some inconsistencies there, to be honest.
Why was there no banana skin in that one? That's definitely a banana skin.
Oh, no, really, if you knew the founding year, I kept out Daft Mill for you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Question 3, what was the first cask of malt whiskey that Andrew Symington purchased, bottled and sold?
I think I've got this.
As part of Signatory Vintage, I should clarify, as part of Signatory Vintage. The options should help you. A, a Stromness. B, a Glenlivet. C, a Brora. If Andrew gets this wrong, it's because he's got it right and I set the question wrong.
I know.
We'll let the crowd get their answers in. Yeah. Stromness, says Jimmy Legg. Yeah, long lost Orkney Distillery. You might remember when Serge was on the vPub, he's holding this candle for this cask of Stromness to turn up somewhere, a wee bit like Malt Mill or something, or something like that. Why would that be there? I have to pick it. A, Stromness. B, with the crowd, but could be. Hopefully, Jimmy, I've helped you a wee bit there in order to change your mind. Daisy's going with B. Stevie O, good to see you, Stevie. Martin Jones going with B. Shamila Sue's B. Gino, Bruce, Blackfen, good to see you, Conrad. Everyone going for B. I can tell you that in 3, 2, 1. Lots of blees. Good. We're in good shape.
Somebody very kindly sent us a bottle recently. That's
of the original one.
Yes, yeah.
And you never had that in the archive then?
I did, yes. I still do, yeah.
Fantastic. So now you've got one. Is that what Brilliant. Question 4. We are live from Pitlochry. As of 2025, how many Scotch malt distilleries call Pitlochry their home? A, 2. They're very close neighbours. B, 3, but only one of them has a visitor centre. Or C, 5, including one not yet operational. The first 5 questions are supposed to be easy, and then after the picture question, it gets harder. But I suspect these are a wee bit tricky already, unless you're Andrew Symington, I suppose. But,
it's quite a good question, actually.
Yeah.
See, I thought I knew this, but one of the options
cunning.
is making me wonder.
There's a wee banana skin there.
There is a banana skin. So
yeah. Live from Pitlochry. How many Scotch malt distilleries call Pitlochry home? 2, 3, or 5? Greg in Paris is saying, does Andrew keep at least one bottle of each release as a testimony to his work? That must be hard to do. Do you do that?
I used to. In fact, some of the special things we keep bottle number 1 and 2, partly because I've got son number 1 and 2. They alternate between which ones they get, but there's too many now. When I mentioned the possibility that we might have sold the business a few years back, we had to pack up all my stuff that was scattered around the warehouse.
Yeah.
And we ended up with 7 or 8 pallets of whiskey.
Wow.
1 meter 20 high in the garage.
And we feel guilty about our over-accumulation, right? And he's only collecting one brand, right? He's one stuff.
I'm going to show this to Alison. So she knows how lucky she is.
So people wondered when we had our 200th anniversary party, how could you open that bottle of 1960 Rosebank? Well, the truth be told, I've got another 2, so
yeah.
And like I said, Ian McLean shouted out about 10 grand. He said, "Oh my God, who cares?"
But the joy that you spread in that room,
we had a brilliant time of it, and we did the same at Whisky Live in Hamburg. I was with Billy Walker, we did a joint tasting. Billy's a great buddy. We've been buddies for 35 years.
Superb.
And we know each other inside that how we operate and do whatever. He's copied me, I've copied him. We talk about how we're going to do it. What should we do? And we had legendary whiskies. I had a 65 Glenvore, which I think you tasted over there. A 66 Ben Riach.
I've not tasted it yet.
42-year-old, and a 91 Ardbeg 30-year-old that was done for Kirsch's 30th anniversary.
You do have a photographic memory.
So it was done in 2016. Was this year? Next year's his 40th anniversary, so I have to come up with something just as good. So we opened it. We had 25 people there. We invited them to put whatever that they felt it was worth into a kitty in order to give to the air ambulance. So we raised, I think, €2,800 or something.
Beautiful.
Nice. It was great. Yeah, it was good fun. Yeah. And half these casks Billy Walker sold to me 30 odd years ago when he was in Burn Stewart. So it was quite really. Billy said, "Fuck, I remember that one. I did sell that to you, blah, blah, yeah." And it was, we were going back, 35 years or more. That's when I got a lot of the stuff.
So there are others out there with good memories too.
Yeah. Billy's got a great memory as well. Yeah. He's a fun guy.
He's not showing any sign of tiring or something either, is he? Fantastic. So 2 in Pitlochry, 3 or 5? 3, 2, 1. All going for B, 3, but only one has a visitor centre. Spot on. However, anyone out there that's answered A, and I can see that there are some of you, I clarified this topic with Andrew tonight, and he put forward a case that would suggest 2 was also legitimate as an answer.
It would be, yes. If you're talking about sites.
There are 2 distilleries here, but it's a single site. So A and B in this case counts. You didn't need the freebie tonight. You nailed it. We're talking about Blair Athol, of course. And Edradour. Another
fine whiskey.
Question 5 is a picture question. I'm going to show you a picture.
Always get these wrong. I don't know why.
But you're used to seeing a picture of a distillery.
Okay. Oh.
This is a picture of a piece of equipment. You're reassured, aren't you? However, there's an asshat here. I am not going to ask you what this is. I'm going to ask you at what point in the process is this used? This is a Morton's refrigerator. Okay? Is it used A, post-milling, after the barley has been milled? Is it used post-mashing, after it has been mashed? Or is it used post-fermentation, after it becomes alcohol? At what point in the process is the Morton's refrigerator used? You're not worried at all, I tell you. They make these a wee bit harder, Roy. Is that what you're thinking? Oh, splitting the crowd here. Splitting the crowd. David Barnes is saying, Google, my friend. Andrew Pearce going for B. Daisy. Graham Fraser going for B. Peter Box and Jesper Bach is going for C, though. Dancing Midgie Glenn. Boomer is in. Good to see Boomer. He's going for B, along with Fraser Ewing. Good to see Fraser going for B, along with Felix N. Scotch. I can ask you all to reveal. 3, 2, 1. All the Bs. I suspect that Seve only learned that today.
I did.
But
at
least you're
well? Technically, is it not also E?
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is, yes. Seve is correct. Theoretically, it is used post-milling, but not immediately post-milling, right? So if you want to take an A for that, but some of you suggested C for post-fermentation, but no, this is obviously the last mash water is very, very hot indeed. When the mash comes through, it needs to be cooled before it goes into the wash.
Is correct. It's an exact replica of the Morton refrigerator.
Is this an exact? Yes. And there are 2, Graham. It's an exact. Well,
there are.
Exact except in material.
Yes, they're now made from stainless steel.
Yes.
Before they used to be made, they used to have copper fins, but you have to clean it with caustic to kill bacteria, and the caustic eats the copper, whereas the caustic does no harm to the stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel 316 grade.
And it probably works just as well in terms of cooling.
Absolutely.
And the liquid
should
passes
technically
over.
last 100 years.
There's a story that those Morton refrigerators, before they were used for brewing and distilling, were used in dairy.
They were milk coolers, Yeah, they used to stand vertical, and it was for chilling milk,
So out the cow, straight through the thing to chill the milk.
Yeah.
There you go.
I literally learned this 4 hours ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Question 6, everyone. Some 5 out of 5 still in the chat. Amazing. Question 6. You're on a 5 out of 5, aren't you?
Yeah.
4 out of 5?
4 out of 5, yes.
5 out of 5?
5, I think.
Question 6, everyone.
I'd be embarrassed if it wasn't.
Yeah. When Edradour was attracting up to 100,000 visitors every year, what was the only other distillery with such high numbers? Oh, another eyes here. We've got A, Arran and Lachranza, specifically Lachranza, of course. B, Glengoyne, just north of Glasgow. And C, Glenturret, also in the Southern Highlands. Which of those other distilleries was also attracting a similar number of footfall back in the day when these numbers were occurring? Oh, splitting the, we've got A, B's and C's here.
There, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's between 2.
Pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident there's one.
Wow.
I'm changing my answer.
I detect, even on this side of the camera, there's a wee bit of nerves here. There's a wee bit of...
Well, it should be.
Amazing.
2 of them are
Amazing.
massive.
Yeah.
I mean, none of those distilleries, we're in the hard question side, none of those distilleries have few visitors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you go through the Scotch whisky and the record book with Alan Gray, you'll find one's at the top, was at the top quite often.
Okay. I hope it's the one that's going to come up here.
I hope it's the one I'm going to take.
The other one's got to be close, though. The one that's in second must be close to the one that's...
Yeah, fairly, but well, fairly. Well, from what my research.
When Edradour was attracting up to 100,000 visitors, you remember when that was, though?
2015, 2016.
No,
Earlier than that.
2002, 3. Yeah.
Oh, really? Was it as far back as that? Wow.
It was when it was free, when it was
Free tour.
toilet stop, a luxury toilet stop with a free drink
For all the buses and a free whiskey.
and a free drink.
Back when we were trying to spread the good word about whiskey.
Absolutely.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well, that's my take anyway.
Anyway, in 3, 2, 1. Andrew. Glenturret. Of course, because Glenturret was famously the home of the famous grouse.
Yeah. Somebody's got, there was a famous bird there also. Yeah.
Somebody spotted that. There was a whiskey with Molly Ben, famous bird there also.
Yeah.
I take it Arran was second because that was my other choice. I was between Arran and Glenturret.
Yeah, there were huge, but way back in 2002, 2003, it would have been
those things they would be getting.
Yeah. But they got up to 60, 80,000, which was amazing. But you imagine when you're on the island, I suppose one of the things that's an absolute must do is to go and visit the distillery. There's 2 distilleries there now, of course.
Yeah, so they probably get it now with the 2.
Yeah. Well done. Still on full house. Well done to the Symingtons.
5 at 6.
Seve, still doing a good job.
And also Glenturret was one that we went for just before I did it, so I knew I was pretty afraid about the visit numbers were. I knew it was going there.
Yeah.
So,
it's amazing. It's amazing to think now. I wonder what would have happened if you'd have got... Were Edrington the owners back then?
Highland Distillers.
Pre-Edrington.
Pre-Edrington, yeah.
Brilliant. Question 7. In the history of Edradour Distillery, which came first? I love this question. I love this
I'm at a bit of a
question.
disadvantage here.
You're not read up in your Edradour Distillery? You knew you were coming here for weeks and weeks?
I did do a little bit of reading, but I'm fairly sure I'm still at a disadvantage.
What came first? A, the mafia. B, electricity. C, Balech and peated malt. Which of those things came first? Andrew's enjoying the chat. You need to wait about 8 seconds and then they kick in.
Which came first? Electricity's a long time ago.
So one of the previous saviours of Edradour was a man called William Whiteley. And one of the ways that he got through back in the day was wheeling and dealing to such an extent that he appointed the head of the US Mafia as his main US sales consultant for a salary of $5,000 per annum or pounds per annum back in pre-war days. And it pulled them out of prohibition, and it's an amazing story. It's an amazing story.
As a scientist, I'm trying to remember when electricity was invented.
No, it was nothing to do when it came about. It's when it got to the remote places.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when it got into the remote places, right? Frank Costello says, Ben, absolutely. Okay. What came first, the mafia, electricity, or Balech and peated malt? 3, 2, 1. Sevy's like, where to go? What? You guessed well.
Yes, yeah.
You guessed well. So remember, the mafia rose in Prohibition, which was pre-war, but unfortunately, electricity didn't get here until post-Second World War.
1947.
47, this was electrified, right? Amazing. Well done. Well done. Unlucky
Election
buddy.
was 2003. Yeah.
But this is an interesting thing to learn. It's almost worth getting it wrong.
It was this electricity thing that didn't. I was like, oh.
Yeah, electricity, has that not always been around? Gave the Victorians headaches, electricity, right?
I used to have a water wheel up in the malt barn that
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
drove
Yeah.
at the time. In fact, we've still got one of the old motors for that guy called Frank Clark that used to have the whiskey shop up in Abbeymoor. He ended up getting part of it, and the actual motor, which he brought back to us about 10, 15 years ago, it's sitting in one of the sheds there. One of the old pumps. That
Yeah,
drove it.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Just to show you,
Off the water wheel.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, if ever you want to reinstate the water wheel, Andrew, here's the motor.
You'll notice on site, I've got various relics kicking about. You know, there's an old worm there. There's an old blow down valve. You know, I keep bits of relics and parts.
Yeah.
You know, dreams of joining them all up at some point. You know, making a water feature or something. Haven't got around it yet.
Frankenstein distillery. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but when you've been going for distilling on this site for 200 years, then there are relics, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Question 8. Well done, everyone.
One of them,
Which of the following items of equipment is in use at Edradour? A. A Morton's refrigerator for cooling the wash. B. Copper worm condensers. Or C. Externally mounted shell and tube condensers. Hold that close to your chest. Not just for Sevy to see it, but the camera to see it in your one.
Sure.
I think this is a banana skin. So I'm not literally not going to go. I'm not going to go for the no. I'm going for
Sugar Kitty is saying, "Watch out that banana." Rick Johnson is like banana skin. Fraser Young is suggesting B and C. Dancing Whiskey Glenn is saying B. Daisy is saying B. Andrew Pears is saying B. Rick Johnson is saying A. Felix is saying A. And Jimmy Legg is saying A. Where's Roy in Norway? Good to see you, Roy. He's saying might just go to bed, Frank, because he's on a 5 out of 7. That's how high his standards are, right? You're on a 5 out of 7.
Roy, I'm in a 5 out of 7.
And you don't get to go to bed.
I know, I'm happy.
Okay. After 3, 2, 1. Oh, bees. Copper worm condensers.
You wanted me to do it.
You have a Morton's refrigerator, but it doesn't cool wash. It cools the wort.
Yeah.
That was the banana skin. Anybody that went for A for the Morton. We established that in a previous question. What it does. So there's a way to get past the banana skin there. Apologies if that's tripped anyone up. Penultimate question coming up here.
And Andrew, I remember you saying about the external, not being able to have external.
Yes,
so
that's
that
right.
was
Yeah.
I was listening.
Yeah, you've been paying attention.
Yes, that's true. I did mention that.
Sevy, the student, who'd have thought?
We were talking about hysterical Scotland.
Question 9, second from last, almost there, everyone. Which of these odd ways to marry whiskey was once employed by a saviour of Edradour, William Whiteley? Marry whiskey is the critical thing here. I'm going to give you 3 options, all bizarro, but one of them is legitimate. A, he married whiskies in a cask on voyages across the seas. B, he married whiskey in a huge Solera vat in a farmyard. Or C, he married whiskies in multiple receiver vessels, taking up the space of an entire warehouse.
Can I get another clean leash? I'm not.
You need another clean leash. You need a reach.
Oh, that's enough. Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Oh, this is good. This is what this bottle was opened for.
It's bra, isn't it? It's great.
Andrew Senior.
I'm fine just to have it.
I'm going to have a top up. I'm not going to be shy about this. Is it not just gorgeous?
It's amazing.
It's
It's such a good drama.
Okay. So what are we doing? What are we talking about here on the voyages across the seas, marrying casks? Are we talking about a big massive Solera in a farmyard, or are we talking about vessels up and down a warehouse? And 3, 2, 1. all going for the ocean. Like Jefferson's Ocean is a bourbon that they put on the ships and they take it across, but that's to mature it. But actually, Whiteley was sending it out as ballast in the casks and using it to marry it.
Sailing ships.
And he was getting it back.
You see that?
King's Ransom was round the equator twice, whiskey.
Because
Round
of
the
this
equator twice.
concept,
Yes,
right?
Yes, yeah.
You've got
And
two
if-
clues over there.
Yeah, you've got 2 clues up there. King's Ransom round the world. And it's on
Boys paying attention, right? And he showed that to me, but he also told me a really cool thing as well, that it would not be legal
today
to do today because you have to mature it
in Scotland.
in a bonded warehouse in Scotland.
The only way
Please, no, that's a total guess. You give me a nudge.
you could put it out there and put it around the world, whatever. You need to bring it back and then put it back into warehouse for a minimum of 3 years for it to be called Scotch whisky. Again.
So you could still do it. So you've looked into doing it.
I haven't tested that. I'm not sure if it would be allowed to be called Scotch whisky or not, because it has left Scotland.
Ah, okay. So even bringing it back.
There is an argument there. Somebody got caught with their pants down, taking casks of whisky and storing them in Germany because it was cheaper than what he was paying rent for here in a friend's warehouse. But when the laws changed in 2010, I think it was, they were too slow in getting them back.
2009,
Well, it was 2009. They didn't get them back in time and they ended up with a problem. And there's some casks out there. Today you'll see some older little bills that don't say Scotch whisky on them.
We can't say Scotch whisky on
They
them.
say 1990 little bill, but that's all they say.
Oh, wow.
Not saying it.
Oh, wow.
But I remember being partial to the conversation with some of the people involved, because I was asked to help.
So they've obviously got away with it then, because they're not suggesting
Well, I don't.
Scotch whisky.
They're not suggesting it's Scotch whisky, no. Or the other alternative was to bring them back here, keep them for 3 years, and then call it a 3-year-old.
A 3-year-old.
Yeah. But they didn't do that, so I take it was not allowed at the time.
Wow. So here we go. We've got the last question, which is going to be an absolute asset. Sev, you're doing okay though. You've only slipped up twice, so you're on a 7 for 9.
Yep.
And the Symingtons are on 9 for 9. So you've only got the asshat to get past at the end, okay? Which is going to be deliberately an awkward, difficult question. Let's see how the chat's getting on before we go into that. They're playing along with us. We've got, okay, 8 out of 9 for Paul, fantastic. 8 out of 9 for Dancing Midgie. Fraser Ewing's on a 7 tonight. James Scott Costigan is celebrating that's the spirit, Sevy, celebrating a pass mark before the last question.
Super.
5 out of 9. Well done, James, fantastic. Good to have you here participating. Dave the Brave's on a 9, along with Daisy. Willie Dollier struggling on it. Just a wee bit on an 8. Any other 9s? Yes. Graham Fraser on a 9. Of course he is. He's always on a 9. He's always on a 9. Alistair McPhail, always doing very, very well. Sugar Kitty Jeff, well done. Both of you on a 9 out of 9. Fantastic. Any others? Ian Bruce, there are going to be 10 out of 10s tonight. Amazing. Amazing. Dave the Brave, 9 out of 9. Right. It's all dependent on the asshat then, isn't it? As I lose my mouse cursor. Here we go. Last question for this evening. It is an asshat, of course.
Andrew versus Andrew.
It is the Andrews. How many?
They're keeping it super close.
Let's get this out. I need to be clear. How many Signatory Vintage 100 proof series bottlings have so far been released? I'm not including the exceptional casks, the black labels, the older stuff. No, this is the original, the standard 100 proof series.
Well,
I should know that.
he handles most of it.
How many
He puts most of
editions
the
have been
labels
released?
onto the machine? So he
How
should
many
be-
have been released? Now, even if you know this, you need to know something else in order to answer it. Is it around the same as the number of A, Scotch distilleries founded since you took over in 2002? Is it around the same as the number of B, years since the founding of Tormore Distillery in Speyside? Lots of people know about Tormore and when it was founded. They can work out the maths from there. Maybe not you by your expression, Sev, but you need to guess. Guessing game needs to be going on. Or could it be C, around the same as the number of Scotch malt whisky distilleries operational on islands in 2025?
This is why it's an asshat. Story.
Yes. Yes.
Because I actually think I know the answer to the question, but I have no idea of the 3 options.
Superb. Guess like you've never guessed before. Mike Molasses saying, oh no. Red Johnson saying D. He's given up. Petehead is saying, is Isla included in C? Yes, Frank, it's an island. It is a separate region, but it is absolutely included in C, buddy. Thanks for clarification. Fraser Ewing is suggesting B. Oh, we've got C's and B's all over the place. Nobody going for an A. Always guess C. Roy loves C, says Jimmy Legg.
Scottish operation on islands. Oh.
I'm going to help you.
Oh.
I'm going to help you a lot. I'm going to show you the numbers.
Oh, well, that will help me because I think I know the answer.
Right. Put it to what you would guess now.
Okay.
Is that locked in?
Aye.
Right. And we'll see if you shuffle the cards once you see.
Okay.
Same for you. Is it locked in?
Locked in.
Right. I'm going to show you the numbers now. Here goes. Scotch Distillery's founded since 2002 is number 63. Year since the founding of Tormore, 68. Scotch Malt Distillery's operational on Islands, 27. Confidence.
Easy.
See? It's not as hard now, is it? It's not as hard as now. Right. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. All the B's. All the B's.
Definitely.
Congratulations.
Definitely.
Symington Jr.
Definitely.
and Symington
Yeah,
Senior.
yeah.
10 out of 10 on the Edradour quiz at the end. But if you'd have said A for 63, I would have said, because it depends on how many editions you've got in your market. Also, my language is around the same as the number as 63 is close enough to 68, but it's actually 69, isn't it? Congratulations. Congratulations.
69 is the total,
Congratulations. Well done, Seth.
Yeah.
Easy,
Thanks.
easy pass, Matt.
If it was
Easy
January,
pass,
I
Matt.
think Kirsch so far has only released 66. He's got 3 to release in January to get to 69.
So hence why 63 was an appropriate answer as well. So it's all good. Jimmy Legg is saying, I can't get Edradour or Signatory Vintage in Nova Scotia anymore. That's obviously why I scored 2 from 10. Jimmy Legg, that never happens. You did not score 2 from 10. I think he's well, we need to help Jimmy Legg out here in East Canada. We have such draconian policies and state-controlled liquor boards, right? But Jimmy, thank you very much for your generous dram, buddy. It's always nice to have you here, fella. Cheers. We have done, we all love Jimmy, don't we? We all love him. We are sorry that you guys are so out of shot there. It's so weird that you look far away. I've had a lot of fun. This has been very easy. When I was up here chatting to you, Andrew, a few weeks back, and we were having a conversation, I knew this vPub was going to be a breeze. I knew it was going to be a breeze.
It's been fun. It's been great. Yeah.
And it's not just because of your nature and your demeanour and your honesty and the candid way that you talk about things. It's because about the genuine way that you view whiskey and how you see the future. And how
Well, I've had a lot of practice.
40 years.
Yes.
We are the benefactors of your practice.
And still never get bored. Still find lots of surprises.
Here's raising a glass to never getting bored and to the whatever future surprises. Thank you.
And to the future.
To the future. Thank you.
To the future.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for indulging us for another wee on-location vPub. These things are always chaotic, but I love them. Congratulations to all the 10 out of 10, says Rick Johnson. Ted Brooks is saying 8 out of 10 and a climb leash to go. Fantastic, Ted. Thank you for reading the memo, my friend. Brilliant stuff. Great vPub, says everyone. Great guests and lots of fun. Thank you so much, Chris. It's wonderful to have you in here always. Peter is saying, with that, call it a day and hit the sack. Thanks for organising Agravini. Thanks to Andrew and the team for hosting, and to all of you. See you next time. Slanch. Can I raise a wee glass for the superstar that is Annette as well?
Yeah.
She's been wonderful.
She's probably watching at home.
Yeah, she's just superb. Thank you, Annette. Thanks for looking after us. She's been amazing, right? Your mum. Cheers to Annette as well. And you were sneaky because she knew she might have got bullied into doing this. So
She said she was just away for
she's having a wee rest.
She's good at that,
Yeah. Edradour forever, says Henrik Schmidt. Fantastic. Jean Kelly saying I had a fantastic time tonight. This confirms my commitment to Signatory and Edradour. Vic Johnson saying the best vPub in forever. Thanks so much to Andrew for being such a great guest. Fantastic. And banger vPub. Thanks so much, says Klitzt and all. Willie Dolier, Uncle Willie, good to see you. What great company to dram with on a Thursday night. Thank you so much, Willie. Graham Fraser saying, great to see Andrew in the wild. We might see a wee bit more of him in the future as well. Billy Bennett is saying, thanks to all for being in my company this evening. So glad to be part of this community. It's great to have you, Billy. Happy 50th once more, my friend. Wallander is saying, thanks for a great vPub. Superb Lowlander, good to see you. Keishan, I'll see you in Leith. I'm looking forward to it, buddy. Black Fennis saying, this has been brilliant. Thank you, Conrad. Maybe you can come up and see us in Scotland soon. Falsgrave is saying, this was one of the greatest vPubs, but one of the horriblest quizzes ever. Sorry, maybe didn't get his pass mark tonight.
Agreed, Falsgrave. That's
Slanjava, everyone. Safe and happy festive season to all, says Bruce Bernard. Good to see you in, Bruce. And David Brave is saying, Andrew, we do really love you. We really do, Dave. Thank you very much for saying what I've been trying to get across for a few discussions now. Peter Box is saying, a primo vPub. Thanks very much to all. And with that, I'm going to raise a wee glass.
Well, thank you, guys. Yeah.
To the Symingtons, to Signatory Vintage, to everything that it's achieved, but also to 200 years of this wee humble distillery. Slanchava, to your health.
And to all your vPub watchers and listeners. I'm very amazed with the comments. That's great. Thank
you to you all. Thank you.
And long may it continue.
Long may it continue. Next week is the last vPub for 2025. So you know what that means. It's going to be the best of 2025. But we're going to get involved in a wee bit of community blind challenge and things like that, and wrap up with hopefully a wee bit of some party relaxed vibes. I'll have a lock-in in between Christmas and New Year, of course, for all my supporters, so that we can relax on a Sunday evening. But other than that, I'll go dark until early January, just to preserve all my the sensibilities and then rest and all the rest of it. But thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Excuse me, I've had an absolute blast. I've loved it. I'll remind you all, until next time, you're very dearly loved. Slanchava.
Slanchava.
Where is he? Where is he? Seve. Seve. Come out, man. We're finished. We can go home. The job's done. Seve. Seve.
Halt you! Beat it! I'm fine here. Leave me alone. I'm not going.